from an all-new Dr. Phil. She had it all.
I was rich and gorgeous. Now I'm just broke and fat.
A wife and a mother.
You've abandoned these children.
I want to be a good mom.
You don't deserve them.
From living the dream
You get so drunk you're asleep on the lawn. You drank in rehab.
to living with her parents.
I have to hide the bottles. The disease lies.
I don't. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Carrie and Steve say they fell madly in love when they met over 15 years ago. So they decided to marry and have a family. Steve, an attorney and a Wall Street executive, was making over $500,000 a year, while Carrie, well, she was a pampered stay-at-home mom taking care of their children in their beautiful 4-bedroom home in Westchester, New York. But 8 years ago, after Carrie turned 40, things took a turn for the worse. Carrie says she started to feel bored with her life of nannies, housekeepers, and constant pedicures. Now, Steve claims Carrie started drinking and neglecting the children because she was too hungover to parent. Now, they eventually separated, and a jobless Carrie moved in with her parents. Now, Carrie says she's angry because Steve, who once made the big bucks as a big-time Wall Street attorney, traded it all in to open a marijuana dispensary business and is no longer able to support her in the way she had grown accustomed. Take a look at Carrie's self-described downward spiral that took her from rich, fit, and tan to what she calls, in her words, broke and fat.
My husband Steve and I had it all.
My wife, Carrie, seemed to have everything she wanted.
We had 2 beautiful children who went to the best private schools. We lived in a nice 3,000 square foot home with 4 bedrooms in an exclusive community just outside New York City. We actually lived in the same town as Martha Stewart.
We had nannies, housekeepers, and gardeners.
I drove a Porsche. We had Denali's, BMWs. For vacations, we would go to Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, Mexico, Aruba. I would spend my days going shopping. For my 40th birthday party, I bought a Cavalli gown. I wore Louboutins, Manolo Blahniks, Valentino. Steve was a successful corporate lawyer. He made nearly $700,000 a year. About 4 years ago, Steve quit his job. My first reaction was, oh my God.
Now I own and manage a legal cannabis business.
My feeling is that he's basically dealing drugs. To say the least, everything we had just went away. The nannies, the cars, poof, gone. Last year, we decided to separate. In my past, I've had some issues with drinking. I've been in and out of rehab for alcohol use. I was so upset, I was just drinking our problems away.
Carrie checked out of her desire to be a mother.
Now our children live with Steve. I feel like my life has completely fallen apart. I don't have a job. I really need Steve to help me out financially. But Steve absolutely refuses. He basically cut me off. He can't do that. I'm his wife.
I need to minimize the drama in our lives at this point. I hope that she can figure this out.
I needed a place to live, so I had to move back in with my parents. I don't even recognize myself. I put on at least 150 pounds, and I was rich and gorgeous. Now I'm just broke and fat. I'm a complete riches to rags story, and I don't know what to do.
Well, that sounds pretty bleak in your view.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how'd this all come unravel for you? What happened?
Well, like you said, when I turned 40, something kind of snapped and I went into a deep depression. And our relationship kind of started falling apart. And when Steve left his job, things really changed.
in terms of lifestyle. And that seems like it was pretty important to you.
I don't want to seem entitled, but it was what I became accustomed to.
Yeah. And when you say you became accustomed to it, you expected it. You were disappointed when it went away.
Yes, I
'Cause
was.
you're describing every brand of gown you're wearing, shoes I can't even pronounce half of this
Just
stuff.
call them red bottoms.
Yeah. Where's all that stuff?
It's in boxes somewhere. It's all size 2, and I'm hanging on to it in the hopes that I'll get back there one day.
And you used to have a problem with drinking,
Right.
but you don't now.
That's questionable.
It's not really questionable, is it?
No, I do.
You have a problem with drinking, right?
Right.
How many times have you been to rehab?
At least 6.
6 times to rehab. And what do you do when you get out?
I go to AA meetings and I'll stay sober for a while, but eventually I relapse and go back to drinking.
Like this picture your husband took?
Yeah,
How long has you been out of rehab here?
the same weekend that I got out.
The weekend you get out,
Yeah,
you get so drunk you're asleep on the lawn.
yeah.
So look at this picture.
That's Armani.
I wasn't asking about the dress. I was asking about the woman in the dress.
Yeah, that was a happy time.
You weren't sober then.
I'm not sure, probably not.
Where was your husband when all this unraveling was going on?
He was actually busy helping take care of the kids. He did most of the cooking, most of the grocery shopping. He was there for us.
But now you're dogging on him saying he's basically a drug dealer.
Right.
How's he doing on raising the children?
Well,
And their mother is where?
2 hours away at her parents' house. I want to be there for my children and be a good mom for my kids.
You go to rehab and drink while you're there.
I have.
So what's more important to you than being with your children?
I guess my relapses have gotten in the way of that.
Well, excuse me for being a bit barbaric, but I want you to pull your head out of your ass and get in the game here. You're better than what you're doing. You are better than what you're doing. You're better than laying around. Where are you going to be a year from now doing what you're doing?
I'm tired of feeling hopeless. It's not where I want to be.
You say that Steve must still have money, and you say his favorite excuse is, I don't have money because I'm spending money on your medical expenses. He says he spent, what, close to $500,000 on your rehabs.
That's not even true.
Well, what would you do if he started giving you money right now? Honestly, what would you do with it?
I would move to the town where my children are, work full-time, buy a car.
You drank in rehab.
Yeah.
You're to be trusted with money now. Is that what you're saying? Everything would be fine.
It's a possibility.
Somebody stamp stupid on my forehead? But you don't believe that.
The way things are right now, it's out of control.
Right.
I understand that, and I don't want that.
Well, tell yourself the truth.
The disease lies.
I don't. I'm curious what your husband has to say. We're going to add him to this conversation next and see how all of this unfolded and went from the fancy gowns and the red bottom shoes to living 2 hours away from the kids who have got to be wondering, where is my mother? We'll be right back.
Things started to change when we moved to just outside of New York City. Seemed like life was one big party. to her. Carrie was unable to function as a mother. Carrie's probably been in and out of rehab between 10 and 15 times. The amount I've spent on her in the range of $500,000.
And later,
I know you think you've been there, but Carrie, you just haven't been there in years. The truth of the matter is, you've abandoned these children. You don't deserve them.
Monday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
I am facing jail time because I refuse to let my children see their father.
She claims she's protecting her kids.
It is odd that you would ask me to move back in if I'm so abusive.
No, I asked you just to see what you would say.
so you were baiting him?
He claims she's coaching them.
I'm not coaching.
We were crying under the stairs.
Well, I Googled your house, and there aren't any steps to hide under. Those kids have been coached.
That's Monday.
To say the least, Steve has a lot of anger issues. Steve flies into a rage, and he literally foams at the mouth. In the past, he has put his hands on me, bruised me by pushing me or grabbing me. He's even choked me and ripped my hair out. In a fit of rage, he even threatened to kill me.
There were a lot of years where I felt angry, and now I just feel sad.
He feels I've ruined his and our children's lives.
Well, Carrie says when she first met her husband, Steve, she saw him as her knight in shining armor and was swept away by their lifestyle of lavish vacations, fancy shopping sprees, fine dining, all funded by his six-figure paycheck. But that all came to a halt when Steve traded in his high-paying Wall Street job to be a small businessman selling marijuana. Legally, it's licensed in the state. Steve says he chose his new line of work as it enabled him to be more involved in their children's lives. Take a look.
Things started to change when we moved to just outside of New York City. Carrie felt like she needed to keep up with the Joneses. It seemed like life was one big party to her. Her life spiraled out of control. We had 2 young children. Carrie was so focused on drinking, I had to step up and make sure our children were taken care of. She could no longer handle the responsibilities. The reason I changed my career was so I could focus on our children and be a stay-at-home dad because Carrie was no longer available. She was unable to function as a mother. Although Carrie was there physically, she seemed to have abandoned the family and the children mentally for many years. We have certainly seen Carrie falling apart. She seems like a shell of herself. Carrie's probably been in and out of rehab between 10 and 15 times. The amount I've spent on her health care in the last 10 years, I would say it's in the range of $500,000. Carrie has treated rehab as somewhat of a vacation. She will come back home and go right back to drinking. I'm no longer able to live with Carrie because I need to focus on the children. The money that we have left needs to go to raising our children.
Steve, it's good to meet you. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Did you fold your career to be a stay-at-home dad? To take the place of an absent parent?
I transitioned my career so
Right.
that I could focus on the children.
Has that worked for you?
It's working.
And how are the children?
I wish that it wasn't my first choice. The children are doing remarkably well. And I think they miss their mother and, would like to have a happy, healthy mother back in their life.
But she's not in their lives now, right? And not making an effort?
Not in a significant way.
You bailed on your daughter's class party in kindergarten. He says you haven't shown up to school events in years. You stayed in bed for months. You've been drunk in front of the children. He's been in charge of meals, homework, errands. And in the meantime, you've been going to rehab 10 times. You say 6. He says 10 or more. Your daughter is how old?
13.
She wrote a letter to you. She says, "Dear Mom, I understand that drinking makes you happy and calm, but you don't see that I interpret that as not my mom. I have never thought of drunk you as my mom. I have thought of drunk you as an evil twin. Mom, I know you're capable of taking a difficult situation and making it better. Sobriety, happiness, connection. That's all I want. And she signs it, love the daughter who will never, ever leave you or betray you.
It's so painful.
When you told us your story, you talked about a lavish lifestyle. You talked about a 4-bedroom home that was gone. You talked about private schools that were gone. You talked about nannies that were gone. You talked about expensive vacations, driving expensive cars. You talked about the Cavalli gowns, the shoes I can't pronounce. You talked about all of those things that were gone, but you didn't say much, if anything, about the quality time with your children.
It's too painful. It's part of the reason I drink, is because it's all so painful.
Carrie says her parents allowed her to move back home with one condition. She does not abuse alcohol. Said if she drinks, deal off. So did she keep her end of the agreement? Well, we'll talk to them and find out what they say when we come back.
My husband and I are very frustrated with Carrie.
All she wants to do all day is just lay on her bed and watch TV. My fear is that our daughter is never going to leave.
She tells me she hasn't been drinking. We've told her if we catch her drinking, we're taking her to the homeless shelter.
And later,
These kids are suffering. Don't say I've been a great parent. And my brother, God love him, he's been there for them, and you haven't.
At the moment, I'm living with my parents. I'm 48 years old and I feel like I'm locked up. It feels like living in jail. It's very tense living with my parents. They're on my case about getting a job, getting a car, getting out of the house. I feel like a teenager. They absolutely treat me like a child.
Carrie says she feels like a teenager since being forced to move home with her mom and her dad. Her parents, Charlie and Carolyn, say they have made huge sacrifices to allow their jobless 48-year-old daughter to stay with them, including loaning her thousands of dollars. Now, their only stipulation is that Carrie not drink while she lives under their roof.
About 4 months ago, our daughter Carrie moved into our home. When I picked her up at the airport, I didn't recognize her. She had gained so much weight. My husband and I, at this point, are very frustrated with Carrie.
All she wants to do all day is just lay on her bed and watch TV.
Carrie doesn't have a job, and she hasn't been looking for a job.
I've tried to give her advice. She acts like she doesn't appreciate it, so I've pretty much given up.
We've given her about $12,000. We told her if we give you money, it's going to come out of your inheritance. She tells me she hasn't been drinking. We've been very clear with her. We've told her if we catch her drinking, we're taking her to the homeless shelter.
We've told her flat out that if we catch her drinking, it's a deal breaker.
My fear is that she will never get her act together.
Thank y'all for being here. Now, her behavior, according to you guys, I made a list. You say even living under your roof, she doesn't clean. She doesn't help cook dinner. You say she watches TV 95% of the time. You say she sits in her room, doesn't have a job. You gave her $2,000 for class that she didn't take. She pawned her wedding ring for money, sold the car, received $300, took $12,000 from y'all, serious debt.
We want to try to give her the benefit of the doubt.
You gave her $12,000?
Well, over a period of time.
We're considering it early inheritance. So when the time comes, if there's anything left to share with her sister, it will come out of her share.
You give a drunk cash.
Oh, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Did we give her cash?
Well,
You did lay this rule down. If you're not going to drink here, You might lay around like a lizard on a rock and watch TV all day, but you're not going to drink here. Now, despite her parents claiming she doesn't drink, Carrie confessed something to us on tape just a few days ago. Take a look.
There's a lot that my parents and Steve don't even know. They all think that I've been sober. The fact of the matter is that I have been drinking. Just yesterday, I probably had 10 drinks. Even today, I had 2 tequilas and a bottle of wine. In my parents' house, I know they have a no drinking rule. But you know, I drink at their home all the time. I use my parents' car to go buy alcohol. I have this great Todd's purse that I can hide the liquor in. Sometimes I have to drape a sweater over it so they can't see that it's bulging. And what I do is I close the bedroom door and go in and I drink. When I'm drinking, I have to hide the bottle behind pillows. After I finish a beer at my parents' house, I'll take the bottle and hide it in a suitcase I have in my closet. This is where I'm hiding my bottles. If my parents find it, they're gonna take them out. I also have 2 adult children from a previous relationship. And they pick me up, we go out drinking. Cheers, bottoms up, Long Island iced tea. My fear now is that everyone knows what I've been up to. My parents are probably gonna kick me out.
What's your reaction to that?
We had our suspicions.
Yeah,
But we didn't have proof. And you don't really want to be the alcohol police. When you have a daughter at 48, you know, you don't want to be the alcohol police. So you're trying to, again, give her the benefit of the doubt.
You've been here a few days, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Saturday, she drank alcohol on the plane. She met producers in the office drunk. She requested staff to get her cigarettes. She requested staff accompany her for lunch. She drank alcohol at lunch. On Sunday, she told the staff she had 10 drinks the day before. She told a segment producer she had 2 shots of tequila and a bottle of wine that morning. On Monday, she texted the producer at 8 a.m. that she spent her last dollar on alcohol and had been drinking since 2:30 a.m., requested the staff take her to the liquor store. She smelled of alcohol and was stumbling around. You're shaking your head no? We have the text.
Yeah.
You asked the producer for a drink this morning. How many bottles you figure you've got hidden in your parents' house right now, empties?
Maybe like 15.
And how many have you carried out of there when you had the chance?
20.
Let's be completely honest. We're not going to debate if you have a drinking problem, are we?
No.
And you disclosed to us that you're drinking in their house. That tells me that you don't really want to hide this.
No.
Let's be completely honest, okay? I mean, what the hell? I mean, they can kill you, but they can't eat you, right? I mean...
Yeah.
How many bottles you figure you've got hidden in your parents' house right now, empties?
Maybe like 15.
And how many have you carried out of there when you had the chance?
20.
So 15 there, and you've taken 20 out so far?
Yeah.
How do you not know this?
She's sneaking.
She stays in her bedroom with the door shut.
I can't help her if you don't help me.
Okay.
That's the problem here.
Well,
I can't.
we will help you.
And listen, you got to be just worn the hell out. I mean, cash-wise, otherwise, and I don't know. You may not put him up for husband of the year or whatever, but I'll tell you what, the boy has stepped up here. He's taken care of your children. Yeah. He's bent his life around. God bless you. I've been doing this a long time. a lot of folks would have been gone a hell of a lot before now. And he still obviously cares about the mother of his children. And he's not trashing you to the children. I can see that from what your daughter is saying. But you know you have a daughter with a chronic alcoholic problem, right?
Yes.
You know you've got a chronic alcoholic that has relapsed 10, 15, 20 times. Yeah, here's the keys. Here's the keys, run an errand. Take the car. Oh, and here's some cash. Here's some cash and the car keys. Go forth. That has to, you have to get in the car and shake your head. Don't you sometimes wonder, how did I get away with this? Mm-hmm. They gave me money and a car. Don't you back out sometimes thinking, how did I pull this off?
It's terrifying. I don't feel good about it. It's something that is ruining my life, and it's a compulsion.
Yeah, but don't you wonder how did I get away with this? I got a car and money. I can go out and Long Island iced tea. I can go out and drink.
Yeah.
So, what is best for Steve and Carrie's children? I mean, Steve's older sister, Beth, is here. She has a surprising take on all of this. We'll hear from her next. We're trying to unravel this. We'll be right back.
Before I became a mother, I used to look at Carrie and think, I want to be a mom just like her. She was so wonderful. And now I look at her and I can't believe the difference. Once Carrie starts drinking, the parenting stops. The last couple of years, Carrie has almost entirely abandoned her children. My concern is for those children. They deserve a great life.
My children are absolutely everything to me. I'm very close to them, and we spend great weekends together at my parents' house. What I provide for my children is a strong mother figure.
I do all the physical things. I wake them up in the morning, I make them breakfast, I take them to school, I drive them to their after-school activities, I take them to doctors, dentists.
I feel I'm a good mom because I'm very attentive to their feelings. I deal with them with gentleness and love. If Steve thinks that I'm not a good mom, he should take a look at himself.
Well, Steve says there's no good reason to divorce his estranged wife, Carrie, because it wouldn't make sense financially, it wouldn't help their children. However, his older sister, Beth, says motherhood may just be too stressful for Carrie to handle.
My brother, Steve and Carrie, had a wonderful life. They were in New York and they had it all. Before I became a mother, I used to look at Carrie and think, I want to be a mom just like her. She was so wonderful. And now I look at her and I can't believe the difference. When everything came crashing down, the children were stuck right in the middle of this. Once Carrie starts drinking, the parenting stops. There are many times where the kids knew better than to get in the car with Carrie. They would walk home from school. Stephen has done everything for these children. The last couple of years, Carrie has almost entirely abandoned her children. I really worry about my brother, Stephen. Stephen is very stressed, having to do all the cooking, the cleaning, both parenting. My concern is for those children. They deserve a great life. These children need a stable home. These kids need dependable parents.
Well, Beth, thank you for being here. What can you add to this conversation?
Well, everybody's been very kind. I'm not going to be as kind, unfortunately, because these kids are suffering. You haven't been there, and when you are there, you're in your room. You haven't cooked a meal. You haven't gone to one of their events. She didn't even want to go to dance anymore because she was embarrassed that she was the only one that's mother didn't come to her dance recitals or her talent show. And Steven's doing the best he can. And I know you think you've been there, but Carrie, you just haven't been there in years. I know, I think your disease tells you one thing, but the truth of the matter is you've abandoned these children, and they are wonderful in spite of you and not because of you. Those children deserve more. You are so lucky to have them, and you don't deserve them. You don't deserve them until you get better. And my brother, God love him, has done everything. He might not be perfect, but my God, he's been there for them, and you haven't.
I mean, you're saying what is what? And, you know, what do you say to what she's saying?
It's not the way I want to live, and it's not the way I want to be a parent. You know that in me is this longing to be present in their lives.
Don't say I've been a great parent. Don't let me hear you say, I've been a great parent, I've been there, I go to her. In kindergarten, she's in 7th grade. Do you know what size bra she wears? Do you know what boy she likes? She couldn't come to you. She called me for those things that she needed a female. She adores you. She didn't want to ever hurt you. I'd say, why don't you ask your mom? Oh, it's going to be too much. I don't want to send her over the edge. I don't want to make her anxious or make her depressed. So can you help me with this? It's not been easy.
I ask you where you think this is going to wind up if you keep making the choices that you're making. And I asked a good friend of mine, Ann Margaret, to come here today. Ann Margaret Carrozza is an attorney. She's an asset protection attorney. She's the author of the book, Love and Money, Protecting Yourself from Angry Exes, Wacky Relatives, Con Artists, and Inner Demons. Which is available in bookstores, by the way. And Margaret and I have worked together a lot. And there gets to a point where everybody has to be a fiduciary for the children. Everybody has to make the right decisions. And we're at a point here that people need to start thinking about what's the best and right thing to do, correct?
Absolutely. In the book, I talk about strategies that we as women can undertake to regain control over our financial lives. In your position, I would sell the red bottom shoes, I would sell some of those designer clothes, generate some cash, open up a savings account, give your parents some money toward utilities. You're going to start to feel more in control. Yes, it's a tiny thing, but you know how when they say when money's a problem, everything's a problem? When you have control over your money, you start to feel a little bit stronger and maybe better able to tackle the other areas of your life. But as far as the kids go, I think it's critically important that Carrie and Steve, within your estate planning documents, you need to memorialize the arrangement that you have with Beth, that if something happens to you, that Beth could step in as a legal guardian. Otherwise, she'd be in court, and it could be a three-ring circus. The other thing that I'd want to see you all do is, to the extent that, Beth, you have the kids for extended blocks of time, Carrie and Steve should each execute what's called designation of standby guardian. It's a downloadable form. You don't have to pay an attorney to do it. But this way, Beth, if there's a medical emergency, you're legally empowered to deal with it.
Yeah, the last thing we want to do right now, I mean, everything's about timing, right? The last thing you want to do right now is make funds available to you if your disease is in control of your life. But what you're saying is there is a point where you do want to do everything you can to make people whole, to feel like you're contributing, to feel like you're making some type of contribution, and that is true, but you've got to get yourself under control before you're able to do any of that. Now, Carrie's family came here to find out how she can start focusing on her future, not live in the past. So I'm curious how she feels about all of this, and I'm going to tell you what I think needs to happen going forward. It's going to really surprise you. We'll be right back.
When I look at those old pictures of myself, I just ask myself why.
I just wonder, where did things go wrong? And how do we get her back to where she needs to be?
My fear is that I may lose my children and end up on the street. It's a possible future for me.
My hope for Carrie is that this will be her light bulb moment, that she finally finds the strength and get her life on track.
I do think you can turn this around, and I have some thoughts about this. I asked some people to come here today. In the audience is Dr. Maureen Esposito, the Executive Vice President of Clinical Services, and Dr. Jawad, the Medical Director of Transformations Treatment Center. It is a premier treatment center which specializes in drug and alcohol and therapy and support. It's a dual diagnosis treatment center, but I'm not sending you there. I think it's important to have that asset, and under the right circumstances, they have agreed to accept you into the program, correct?
Correct.
And y'all realize she's been in and out of rehab and failed a number of times, correct?
Exactly.
And anybody can be a star in rehab, right? The problem is transformation to the outside. It's that transition to the outside world. And I've made that a pet project of mine. And you all know what virtual reality is, right? When you put on goggles and wherever you look, you feel like you are right there in the moment. Here's an example. If you feel like you're actually in a race car driving, well, take a look at this and you'll see what I'm talking about. Well, I've done the same thing for the treatment world. I've created a virtual reality tool to help that transition go smoothly and prepare for triggers. Here I am in a bar. Why? Because I know that people are going to get in high-risk situations once they get out. And I want to be there in a patient's head, training folks on how to handle those high-risk situations. It offers a unique experience so patients can sit down in a face-to-face setting with me without ever leaving the safety of the facility. Certain elite rehab programs across the country have this tool as part of their protocol, including Transformations Treatment Center. And so the idea that I'm going for here is when someone like you goes into treatment and gets out, I want there to be a significant voice in your head, a significant voice in your head that stands out from all the noise, where you can say, okay, this is what Dr. Phil and I talked about. I see this in my head. We stood in a bar together and we talked about this, and it registers in my head and it becomes a trigger for coping instead of a trigger for meltdown. Because I know people can be stars in rehab, it's transitioning out, and I'm trying to create a virtual reality tool to help people do that, and it's working really, really well. And let me tell you why I'm not wanting you to go home with these people. Because you've done this time and time again, and you have failed. So why do the same thing over again? You are going to earn your way into this elite program. And here's how it's going to work. You guys are going to have to become part of this program. If you guys continue to do what you do, it won't matter what I do. Here's how this is going to work if you're going to take my... You want my help?
I do.
Number one, there has to be total transparency. Total transparency. You have to have permission. Give yourself permission. She gives you permission. Total transparency. Don't kick her out today. She didn't follow your rules. You didn't enforce your rules. Both of you failed in that regard. Total transparency. You don't drink in their house. Go home, get rid of all those bottles. You have to submit to random drug and alcohol tests by them anytime. They are going to be my surrogates as alcohol and drug police until further advice, okay? I'm going to get you a personal trainer, I'm going to get you a life coach, and I'm going to get you a therapist. And you are going to get real busy taking pride in yourself again, and you're going to roll out of bed at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to be on a track at 8:30 somewhere, and you're going to be working out with a personal trainer probably twice a day. And you're going to see a therapist on a regular basis, and you're going to be drug and alcohol tested. And if you do what I want you to do for 30 days, then you will go with these people.
Awesome.
Okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
We can do this. All right? Okay. All right. Make sense? Okay. All right. To find out more about this virtual reality program I'm talking about and where it's offered, you can go to drphil.rehab, and you'll have information there. I want to thank all of my guests today, especially Ann Margaret Carrozza, and especially my friends at Transformations Treatment Center, the Executive Vice President of Clinical Services, Dr. Maureen Esposito, and Medical Director, Dr. Jawad. Thank you for being here. I can't tell you how much you've helped. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
To make false accusations.
The Jussie Smollett story.
Did he get caught, or is the jury still out here?
Look, Dr. Phil, he has some big problems.
Jussie Smollett figured he was going to get away with this, otherwise he wouldn't have done it.
A lot of things need to be researched, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Accused of filing a false police report.
He's talking about a vicious hate crime where he felt his life was in danger. Why is he smiling?
Jussie maintains his innocence.
TMZ posted a quote, "I swear to God I did not do this."
We investigate.
Whenever they say, "I swear to God," almost always, next thing out of their mouth's a damn lie.
This is what made Dr. Phil an amazing jury consultant.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Well, I'm sure by now you have all heard about Jussie Smollett, the talented singer and actor from the hit Fox drama Empire. This beloved actor appeared to be on top of the world until he was charged with felony disorderly conduct for filing a false report claiming 2 unknown assailants attacked him while using racial and homophobic slurs. Now, Jussie denies all allegations and stands firm with his claim of being a victim of a hate crime, a crime he says happened in the early hours of January 29th.
Brutally attacked, Jussie Smollett, one of the stars of the hit show Empire, has been hospitalized after a possible hate crime.
Jussie Smollett said 2 men attacked him, hurled racial and gay slurs to him, and then tied a noose around his neck.
Smollett revealed that he is working with authorities and has been 100% truthful.
Chicago police say, quote, given the severity of the allegations, we're treating it as a possible hate crime.
Police released images this week of 2 people who appeared to follow him. Now, another security camera captured the actor returning to his apartment with a noose around his neck.
Authorities are still trying to figure out, was Jussie the victim of an attack, or did he plan the entire thing?
On one hand, there are a lot of people showing him sympathy. On the other, a lot of unanswered questions.
Right now, there's no reason for us to think that what he's described to us isn't, in fact, what happened. It's a horrendous, terrible thing.
But as the police continued their investigation, the story took a sharp turn.
Was it a hoax? A shocking new twist tonight in the alleged assault of Jussie Smollett.
We've learned that the 2 men being questioned are brothers.
The Nigerian brothers say the Empire actor orchestrated the whole thing. One of the brothers is connected to Smollett through the hit show Empire, where he played a prisoner.
WBBM is citing sources that the brothers were paid $3,500.
If what these brothers are saying is proven to be true, this doesn't just make the alleged victim now the culprit. It makes him someone who planned out and orchestrated a hate crime.
But Jussie Smollett continues to push back, saying again tonight he was not involved in orchestrating the attack.
Smollett is under arrest and in police custody.
Defendant Smollett wanted Ola to place a rope around his neck
pour gasoline on him and yell, "This is MAGA country."
Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations?
Smollett has been charged with disorderly conduct for filing a false police report.
The fall of an empire star. Actor Jussie Smollett. He surrendered to Chicago police today after posting a $100,000 bond. The head of the police department accused Smollett of staging a publicity stunt using, quote, the pain and anger of racism to promote his career.
As for those ringing words of support for Smollett from entertainment and political luminaries right after the incident, they're few and far between now, as Smollett posted his bond, surrendered his passport, and walked the humiliating walk out of the Cook County Jail.
Jussie Smollett is being cut from the final 2 episodes of this season of Empire.
If convicted, Jussie Smollett faces a fine of $25,000 and a prison sentence of up to 3 years.
I grew up in the tail end of the civil rights era, and the symbolism of a noose is very offensive. That's a damaging thing to do to a city and to a police department. And I just hope people don't judge other folks that are victims of these types of crimes, because this is just one particular incident.
Let's remember, Jussie is innocent until proven guilty. However, I noticed what I believe are questionable things with some of his reported statements and videos out there, and I'm going to give you my thoughts about that soon. But first, I want to know what you think. How many of you here today believe that Jussie planned his own attack? Raise your hands. Okay, that's almost probably 70%, I'm guessing. Well, let's take a closer look at the timeline of Jussie's story with TMZ's Harvey Levin, who has been staying on top of the details minute by minute. What's going on here? Did he get caught, or is the jury still out here? What's your best guess?
I think there is a lot of evidence suggesting that Jussie Smollett staged this, but there is also other evidence. And Dr. Phil, you know at least as well as I do, because of what you used to do with jury consulting, that it is never over until there's a trial. And we found out something over the weekend that is really interesting. You heard the police superintendent say in that news conference last week that Jussie paid these 2 brothers $3,500 to stage an attack. Well, we have obtained the check and various text messages between Jussie and one of the brothers, and it suggests something different, that $3,500 was not to pay them for an attack. It was for personal training. These guys are personal trainers. Jussie had a music video shoot where he needed to lose 20 pounds, and you look at the texts and you look at the check, and he had hired them to get him in shape. And the reason that I'm raising this, and Dr. Phil, you know this so well, that all somebody like Jussie Smollett has to do if this goes to trial, all he has to do is create a reasonable doubt. And if he can show, say that the police superintendent made a statement where the check shows otherwise, you know, this is the way O.J. Simpson ended up getting off, where you cast doubt, and it may be you still believe it, but not enough to convict. So I don't think it's over.
Do you know if the brothers did, in fact, as CPD says, tell them that they were paid to do the attack, and that, in fact, they did go buy the ski mask, hats, rope, and bleach for the attack with the $100 that he gave him? Do you know if they did tell that to the CPD?
I believe they told them about the $100 for sure. I think the issue is, what did they say about the $3,500?
Well, TMZ posted a quote about what he said to the crew at Empire. And it says, quote, "I'm sorry I've put you all through this and not answered any calls. I wanted to say I'm sorry, and you know me. I would never do this to any of you. You are my family. I swear to God I did not do this."
And we confirmed that with his people, too. I mean, look, Dr. Phil, he has some big problems here. Because remember, he told the police that he saw the attackers and they were white. And I don't think these guys are mistaken for white. And, you know, he's got to reconcile that, because that would go with law enforcement saying he wanted to create a profile of somebody, a MAGA supporter, the whole thing, and it just wasn't the case.
Well, Harvey, before I let you go, I wanted to point out, you know that I've spent a lot of my career in deception detection, determining whether people are telling the truth. And there are some very classic lie behaviors. And one of them is what we call convincing statements, like, you know me, I would never do this. And then one of the biggest flags of all, I swear to God. Whenever you're talking to somebody and they say, I swear to God, almost always next thing out of their mouth's a damn lie. Okay?
Oh my God. For all the people in your audience who are listening, this is what made Dr. Phil an amazing jury consultant, because he could read people, and half of the battle is reading people and then developing the case around it.
There are some real red flags here that...
And I agree with you. Plus, the brothers are testifying he did this. That's what we were doing. We scoped out the location in advance. We saw a camera. We planned this out. We did a fake attack. So there's a ton of evidence.
What do you think about him being cut from the last 2 episodes of Empire?
It doesn't surprise me at all. I think the question is what happens next season, and I think we're probably going to know the result of this whole trial by then.
Well, Harvey, thank you, my friend. And you know where to find TMZ online and on the air. Harvey, thanks for being here. Jesse has already faced much criticism without being found guilty of any crime. What I observed about this behavior, we'll be right back.
There are some pretty clear indicators that something was a little fishy about the story. He went out at 2 a.m. in the middle of a polar vortex in Chicago to go get a Subway sandwich. He suddenly has a noose around his neck. He's been hit with bleach, but he's still holding the Subway sandwich.
When I initially heard the story from Jussie, I had compassion. He deserved due process.
And later,
the police charged me with falsification and obstruction of justice just for changing my story. I received 2 misdemeanors. I had to pay a $250 fine, and they placed me on probation for a year.
Tomorrow, she says her sons are raging.
When I get mad, I'm not in control.
Wannabe gangster.
This is what you smoked in the past year.
Still living at home.
You don't appreciate that I'm not working? Kick me out. She doesn't trust me.
Should she?
Probably not.
If you don't want to live with her, take off. Put on your gangster outfit and be the godfather of Albuquerque.
That's tomorrow. Then on Friday, can her daughter...
You got kidnapped and sex trafficked.
...overcome her past?
I'm worried about my grandson.
You're not going to take care of my son? Nothing. I was asking for nothing from you.
That's Friday.
This announcement today recognizes that Empire actor Jussie Smollett took advantage of the pain and anger of racism to promote his career. I'm left hanging my head and asking why. Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations? How could someone look at the hatred and suffering associated with that symbol and see an opportunity to manipulate that symbol to further his own public profile?
Well, joining us now from New York, where he hosts his own radio show, SiriusXM Urban View, is journalist and author Clay Cane. And then here with me is Ben Shapiro, host of The Ben Shapiro Show. So let me start with you, Ben. Do you believe him? And if not, why would he do this?
I mean, I don't believe him. I think the Chicago superintendent has made clear why we should not believe him. There are a lot of questions about the story from the very beginning. I mean, the original story is that he went out at 2 a.m. in the middle of a polar vortex in Chicago to go get a Subway sandwich. He was on camera this entire time, and then he disappears for a minute. When he reemerges from the cameras, he suddenly has a noose around his neck. He's been hit with bleach, but he's still holding the Subway sandwich. And one of the big things I think that's problematic with how the media treats this sort of stuff is that if you asked questions at the beginning, there was a sort of pushback. Don't ask questions, don't ask questions. We must believe all people who make allegations. And I'm fine with believing initial allegations, but you do have to ask evidentiary questions when questions arise.
Well, absolutely. Now, Clay, you say that hate crimes are personal to you. Tell me why.
Well, as a black gay man who grew up in Philadelphia, I had so many experiences that may not have made sense to other people. It may have been bizarre, it may have been strange, but friends that I knew, being assaulted, being killed. This was almost normal where I grew up. So when I initially heard the story from Jussie, I had compassion. I was saddened to hear that this may have happened. And I understand why folks are skeptical, but I do believe that he deserves due process.
There is a lot of evidence on both sides, correct?
Absolutely. Sure there is. I mean, there's no doubting that. But, you know, here's the thing. I have seen police officers, with all due respect to law enforcement, I have family who are part of law enforcement, but I've seen police officers shot and kill unarmed black children on camera, and they got due process, and they were convicted. So my only thing is to ask for, if Jussie did this, it's deplorable, it cannot be defended, but let's give him the kind of due process that we give a police officer who shot and kills a young unarmed black man on camera in Chicago.
And Ben, you don't disagree with giving the man due process, right?
Of course, everybody should have due process. One of my big objections here is that immediately upon Jussie Smollett telling his story, you had two presidential candidates among the Democrats, Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, both come out and call it a modern-day lynching without calling for more information, without calling for due process. His story, again, was full of holes, not just in the timeline, but the very notion that there were two MAGA-hatted white guys walking around at 2 a.m. in Chicago, which is an extraordinarily democratic city. And they were shouting, "This is MAGA country," while trying to hang a guy they watched on Empire.
Right here, what Ben just said is not true. Jussie Smollett never said they were wearing MAGA hats. So do you see how quickly the
He said they were wearing
changes?
red hats, and that they were shouting, "This is MAGA country."
Ben, you're wrong. He only said MAGA country. There was nothing about wearing a red hat. Trump came out as well. Trump said that this is the worst thing ever. So it wasn't just Democrats. People defaulted to compassion. People defaulted to having sincerity, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of things need to be researched. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Hate crimes are one of the most underreported crimes in America. Like 50%, statistics tell us 50% of the victims don't report the crimes. And statistics also tell us that a high percentage of those that report the crimes are, in fact, telling the truth, and they are verified once they're looked into. So I certainly don't want this to cause people that are victims of hate crimes to not come forward and exercise their right to protection and due process.
Let's not make it bigger to what it actually is, right? He stands on his own. He doesn't speak for every black LGBT person. But if you don't believe a victim of a hate crime, that is your own issue. That is not Jussie Smollett's fault.
And Ben, my point is that most of the hate crimes that are reported turn out to be true.
Well, that's true. What I am a little bit afraid of in this country right now is the believe all victims mentality that immediately suggests that as soon as someone makes an allegation, the allegation is tantamount to a believable story in 100% of circumstances.
I wrote down your quote here because I thought it really brought it all to a head. You said, our current social media environment is constructed to amplify those who jump to conclusions most quickly and to penalize those who wait. We're outraged by people who say they want to wait for information to come out, since that reaction supposedly demonstrates insufficient deference to the narrative itself.
Exactly. Why don't we believe all victims is the idea. So Jussie Smollett comes out with his story, and let's say somebody says, listen, happy to hear your story, but I don't have all the evidence yet, so I'm going to wait on whether I think this is true or not. Then people jump in and they say, well, why aren't you believing all victims? It's exactly the sort of thing that makes hate crime victims not come forward. Well, if we do that, then we are going to get an incentive for people to jump to conclusions, and what that creates is an incentive for people like Jussie Smollett to lie, because Jussie Smollett figured he was going to get away with this, otherwise he wouldn't have done it. He figured, if it turns out that it's a hoax, that he was going to get away with it, and that he was going to do so to the vast acclaim of an enormous number of people who want to claim that there are a lot of people in America who are out to get people like Jussie Smollett. And the idea was, if anybody questioned, then he was going to do what he did with Robin Roberts on GMA and suggest that all questions about his case were indicative of a deep-seated American racism. It's an unprovable argument, but one that benefits him.
Well, we're going to talk to a member of the media who feels the media must handle all hate crimes with skepticism. We'll be right back.
The problem is when we lose our compassion and our capacity to care about each other because we're advancing our political agenda.
I'm not hearing any compassion for the CPD. I'm not hearing any compassion for the two people that presumably Jussie Smollett would have been willing to send to jail falsely by implicating them in a crime that he presumably, and is now accused of, helping to pay for.
Hate crimes are real. They do exist. Unfortunately, so do hate crime hoaxes.
Students have reported at least 4 racist notes on Drake University's campus. One of the girls admitted to making the note. Now police are saying at least one of them was a hoax.
Search is over tonight for the person who vandalized a car.
These images of Williams' car went viral on social media. The FBI were investigating the incident as a hate crime.
The car's owner now says he did it.
They kept saying, "You don't belong here." They were like, "Oh, look, it's a terrorist. Take that rag off your head."
That was the account from 18-year-old Yasmin Saweet when she claimed she was the victim of a hate crime on the 6 train. She was questioned again. Investigators say she confessed the story was a lie, something she made up to get out of a, quote, family problem.
A church was vandalized with words like Heil Trump.
People here in Brown County feared it was a hate crime committed by perhaps the KKK.
But it turns out it was an inside job.
In a 3-page handwritten statement, Stang, according to court records, wanted to mobilize a movement. I suppose I wanted to give local people a reason to fight for good, even if it was a false flag.
Well, joining us now, our columnist and editor of Quillette, Andy Ngo, and activist and author, The Opposite of Hate, a field guide to repairing our humanity, Sally Kahn. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Andy, you have followed a lot of the hate crime hoaxes. Where do you come down on this now in this particular situation?
I think the story is emblematic of an illness in America where we worship victimhood above heroism, bravery, kindness. This ideology has seeped into mainstream society and culture.
And you say that hate crimes are not common at all.
What's more helpful to look at, and particularly when you break it down per capita, you're looking really at the single digits per million.
Well, it may be a small percentage, but if it happens to you, it's 100%. Now, Sally, you say we're a country that's built on hate, and explain what you mean by that.
The fact is, look, we have histories of hate in our country, not because we chose them, right? But we're a nation that was born through wiping out a genocide of Native Americans. We're a nation that was literally and physically built by abducting and enslaving Africans. That's our history, and it leaves an imprint in our laws, in our society, in our culture, in our hearts, and in our minds, and that comes out in ways that we should all be outraged about.
You're exactly right if you're talking about victims, but as the police spokesman for Chicago PD was saying, if this is a hoax, this is a real disservice to those that truly are victims of hate crimes.
The Chicago Police Department is not exactly the most trustworthy reporter here. We know, for instance, that they covered up for a year the police murder of an unarmed black man. So I think it's right we should wait for all the facts. And what's unfortunate about this moment in our society is the Twitterification of everything, where we all have our sides and we just pick the facts that fit our side and we get outraged in any excuse to bash the other side and forget about the real human suffering. But we're using this to perpetuate, as Clay said, larger problems in our society that we should all be trying to fight.
But oddly enough, Sally, I think that we agree on this. I really don't think that anybody in the room is less likely to now believe a person who claims a race crime. And as far as the notion that America is deeply riven by hate and that victims are constantly being blamed and this sort of thing, Jussie Smollett, according to CPD, he did this because he figured he was going to make more money off of being a victim.
And the problem is when we lose our compassion and our capacity to care about each other because we're advancing our political agenda.
I agree with everything you're saying about compassion, but I'm not hearing any compassion for the CPD. I'm not hearing any compassion for the 2 people that presumably Jussie Smollett would have been willing to send to jail falsely by implicating them in a crime that he presumably, and is now accused of, helping to pay for. All cases should be treated for evidentiary value, and that the media do an unbelievably crappy job of covering all of this in narrative-driven fashion.
Clay, final comment before the break.
I had a friend of mine when I was young who was attacked. He had his face beaten into the pavement. He was kicked, he was punched, and people walked by, they didn't come to his aid. And when I spoke to him, I said, why don't you call the police? And I'm gonna use some harsh language here. He said, they're not gonna believe a black like me. So I think you have to really humanize this cultural war that we're in. No one can win in this war of ideology. When you make the narrative fit you according to the tweet that you see.
No. All right, why does someone lie about a hate hoax? When we come back, we're gonna meet a woman who said she had reasons when she reported to police that alleged Trump supporters attacked her. We'll be right back.
It was election night. We had these 3 white boys throwing rocks at us, yelling the word, yelling "Make America Great Again." These detectives had the nerve to tell me that they didn't think I was black enough to be attacked.
We were talking this hour about the mystery that has left viewers baffled. Did Jussie Smollett lie about being the victim of a hate crime? Now everyone is asking, if he did, as he must be presumed innocent until proven otherwise, why would anyone create a crime hoax? Well, unfortunately, my next guest, Ellie, says she can relate.
Just over 2 years ago, it was election night. I was a 23-year-old university student. I was studying pre-law. When it was announced that Donald Trump had won the election, I was very upset. I threw back beers like crazy. I was very intoxicated. On my way home, I was planning on stopping and purchasing some drugs. I'm biracial, and the 2 guys that I met up with, they were very dark-skinned. The next thing I know, we had these 3 white boys throwing rocks at us, and there was also like pebbles thrown, so it was almost like a rain. Yelling the word, yelling "Make America Great Again." Next, the guys, he started pushing us. I had bruises on the sides of my neck. I got hit in the chest. When I got home, I just posted it on social media. When I woke up the next day, my post went viral. I went to the police. I lied to those detectives about the location and the time that I was attacked. I ended up changing my story a couple times because I didn't want them to find out that how intoxicated I was and that I was planning on buying drugs. Because I lied, the police just didn't believe me from the get-go. These detectives had the nerve to tell me that they didn't think I was black enough to be attacked. I felt like things could not get any worse.
Okay, Ellie, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You just said something that I'm having trouble wrapping my head around. You said, the police just didn't believe me because I lied.
What I was saying was I lied about the time and the place because I thought I was in a more unsavory position when the actual attack happened. So I did lie about the time and the place. But I gave them thorough descriptions of what those boys looked like. They asked me for things like they wanted to see what clothes I was wearing. So I did tell them I was wearing something different than what I was. But when I asked them if they wanted the actual clothes I was wearing, they shook it off.
If you lie to the police, if they say, okay, here's a girl that says, I was drunk, and then says, well, actually, I lied about this and this and this, don't you think human nature is going to be that you lack credibility?
I totally understood. I think what hurt the worst was they told me that the bruises on my neck weren't real, even though I was examined at the police station when I filed the report. And they told me that I put it on with makeup.
Dr. Phil?
Yes.
I don't think it's any small detail that you lied about the time and the place. I mean, innocent people could have been arrested for this. Last year, we had an incident in Illinois where a 5-year-old black girl said that a white man called her a racial slur. Well, the police canvassed the neighborhood and arrested a black man. The whole story was a lie that she made up with her friends. So let's also think about the victims who get falsely accused or they somehow might match a description and get arrested. That's the other part of the story that we're not talking about.
Look, we know that most crimes, when they are reported, are true. And I think the larger problem is when we are picking and choosing hate crimes and either believing them, not believing them, expressing outrage, not expressing outrage, depending on which side we're on and which narrative they serve, as opposed to acknowledging the reality of hate.
Okay, Sally, but they do boil down into individual instances, and then it is on us as rational human beings to determine whether those individual incidents happened exactly the way they said they happened. If social justice trumps individual justice no longer matters. If the narrative matters more than what happens in a specific case, then individual people are hurt. So if you care about people, you should be worried more about evidence and less about the narrative.
Okay, what are some of the real reasons why people make up a hate crime? I'll tell you what I think when we come back. Why is he shaking his head no when he's saying it's just the truth? He's just simply showing consistent clusters of lie behavior. We've been talking this hour about Jussie Smollett's case that has shocked and divided the nation about how they feel regarding both real hate crimes and hate crime hoaxes where the alleged victims make false claims. Now, Good Morning America's Robin Roberts sat down with Jussie to talk about the alleged attack. Now, many people felt his behavior during the interview was questionable, and I have to say that Jussie Smollett showed a lot of deceptive behavior during this interview. If he's not lying at these particular points, then he sure looks like he's lying at these particular points. Let's roll the tape and we'll take a look.
What is it that has you so angry? Is it the attackers?
It's the attackers, but it's also the attacks.
At this point, he's talking about a vicious hate crime where he felt his life was in danger. At 2 in the morning, he's attacked by 2 people that are throwing toxic chemicals on him, putting a noose around his neck, and threatening his life. Why is he smiling? This is what's referred to as duping delight, which means taking pleasure in getting something over on someone. And then at 12 minutes in, we see this.
I think that what people need to hear is just the truth.
Okay, he says, people need to hear it's just the truth. Why is he shaking his head no when he's saying it's just the truth? He's just simply showing very consistent clusters of lie behavior. He's contradicting himself throughout. So why does somebody lie about a crime like this? Well, they tend to lie because they feel victimized overall. They feel like, I am generally victimized by the system, so this event that I'm reporting, while not specifically true, is emblematic of how I am generally treated by the system, so it is not a lie.
And actually, a lot of hoaxers don't even think that what they're doing is wrong. Right. I mean, a lot of what Sally was saying here was really about the larger narrative, the larger story about bringing attention to hate in America and the climate of hate. So as long as we still find a silver lining or justification for hoaxes, we're going to continue to incentivize it.
The problem is somebody on the other end of that hoax is held accountable and pays a price for something they didn't do.
And that's the problem. You're right. Hoaxes are horrible. They're crimes, they should be prosecuted, and they will be. And the problem is that we don't need hoaxes to dramatize the issue of hate in this country. It's already a problem, and it is. One is too many, and there's suggestions that there are as many as 250,000 hate crimes, most of which are unreported in this country. That's the problem, and I hope we're all against it.
Well, it's fascinating to watch which trends get highlighted by the media, and the Jussie Smollett case is a good example of the trends that are highlighted by the media. The same night that Jussie Smollett claimed this happened, the same night there was a Jewish man walking in Brooklyn who was wearing payas, which are the side locks, and the yarmulke, and he was beaten on tape. Okay, there was actual tape of this happening. Why exactly has this not received national media attention? Well, the New York Times explained in an October 2018 piece. They said the reason we have not covered this in depth is because we couldn't find a clear trend in the attackers, meaning that they couldn't find a single instance in which it had been a white supremacist. So in other words, when there's a narrative that the media wish to push, which is that there's a vast upsurge in white supremacism in the United States, the media want to believe that this is because of President Trump's election particularly, even though hate crime statistics have been rising year on year, 2015, 2016, 2017, and now 2018. Because of that, what happens in New York is not of relevance. What happened to Jussie Smollett was of massive national relevance.
I think that's not fair. I think it's because he was a celebrity, and we pay an insane and unhealthy amount of attention to celebrities in this country. But the truth is, look, this isn't the oppression Olympics, Ben. Anti-Semitic crimes are awful, and homophobic crimes are awful, and racist crimes are awful,
I agree, but
and Islamophobic crimes are awful,
and they're all rising. We're going to take a break, and we're going to meet someone who served time for doing just exactly that. He served time for being a person that committed a real hate crime. We're going to talk to him when we come back. We got all sides of this issue. We'll be right back. There was a point at which you realized the gravity of what you were doing in labeling people and defiling their homes. At some point, this weighed heavily on you, and you, in fact, shot yourself in the head.
His words were angry and his actions considered a hate crime. Wednesday, Raymond Stevens pleaded guilty to a felony count of criminal mischief for writing racist graffiti on the homes of African refugees in Concord.
Now, Ray spent time in prison for criminal mischief when he spray painted hate messages on an African immigrant's home. Now, Ray, thank you for being here, by the way. It'd be a whole lot easier for you to not be here, to just kind of stay in the background. There was a point at which you realized the gravity of what you were doing in labeling people and defiling their homes and all, correct?
I just always gravitated towards the wrong group. I would drink, and I'd find myself out on the streets 3 in the morning, acting out on something I saw in my local society, wherever I happen to be in the world, and lash out in the ways of graffiti. I'm nonviolent, never was violent, but I would want to get my message out there.
So you went to prison for this?
8 months in New Hampshire, yeah.
Uh-huh. And at some point, this weighed heavily on you, and you, in fact, shot yourself in the head.
Ultimately, yeah, because I've been suicidal my whole life, struggling with depression, and I saw the prison case coming, and you know, I thought I could beat it, but at the same time, you know, I didn't want to, I wasn't ready to admit yet. Obviously, I was still in that state of mind. But I think I've come away with it, having been able to find the church, and the Lord has found me, and praise Jesus, Christ, our Savior. I'm back on the right path, and that's the path I've found to be most ideal to cure me of those hateful desires and triggers that I was dealing with.
You now look back and clearly see what you were doing was wrong.
Very much so, yes.
What do you say to people now that are out there wanting to do that kind of thing, wanting to do these hate crimes? What do you say to those people?
I'd hope they'd take a lesson from me and see how much I had lost, but by going the hard road, by thinking I was above all that, and that really today the only true answer is like what we're doing right here on your fine show, is that is a civil and honest discussion between all factors, people that stand at all ends of the aisles, you know, whether far right or left or somewhere in between.
That's well said. We have to go to break, and I want to be sure that I underline something that Ellie said before, because I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle. We were talking about the fact that when you lied to police, you lost a lot of credibility. But the bottom line for you was, stories aside, you're not saying it's okay that I lied. No. I'm just saying I did change my story, but I offered physical evidence. Don't believe me, just look at the evidence, and they wouldn't do that. And that's your point.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be sure that that didn't get lost in the shuffle. All right, look, if you are a victim of a real hate crime, find out what you should do when we come back. We've talked to victims of hate crimes. We've been talking to perpetrators of hate crime. We've talked about the hoax side of it, the real side of it. I've tried to give this a full 360 conversation. Clay's a bit of a disadvantage because he's on satellite here, so is there something you want to add?
I do want to add something. I want to say that with all this talk of hate crimes, they're real for Black LGBT people. But I want folks out there to know, young people out there to know, that with all of that said, I want to quote Zora Neale Hurston, I am not tragically Black. I am not tragically gay. My life has joy. I have a great career. I have a great relationship. And I am very blessed to be where I am. So if you're out there and you're struggling with your identity, just know that you can make it out on the other side. And here I am now on the Dr. Phil show, considering where I'm from. So I want to make sure that narrative is out there.
Yeah.
It is not a dark, dismal life being a Black LGBT person. I am lucky and proud to be who I am, and I wouldn't change it.
Well, thank you for saying that. And as you were just saying, having been on the dark side of this, I think we have had a very civil conversation about this whole thing here. And, you know, whether Jussie is telling the truth or whether he's not, I don't know. There's a difference between being found not guilty and being innocent. And maybe he'll be found not guilty. Maybe he's innocent. We don't know. Due process is unfolding at this point. I have more confidence in Chicago PD than maybe others do. I am clearly a supporter of law enforcement, but I do recognize there are bad apples in every barrel. And there are people out there, men and women, who stand in the gap every day to protect all the rest of us. And God bless them for doing it, because if they didn't, we'd be in a lot of trouble. But look, we've been talking about hate crimes, hate crime hoaxes, and why people lie. In fact, I'm talking about this in one of my podcasts, Fill in the Blanks, that you can catch now, called How to Spot a Liar. How much do people lie?
First of all, everyone lies. The way I break it up is there are high-stakes lies and low-stakes lies. The high-stakes lies are less common, but they're very high stakes.
What causes people to lie?
We lie to avoid conflict. We lie sometimes to manipulate someone, to have power over someone. We lie to gain the admiration of others. We lie oftentimes to protect privacy.
There's a saying in Texas, for every rat you see, there's 50 you don't. If I catch somebody in a lie about one thing or two things or three things, I always assume there's 50 things I'm not seeing that they're lying about.
You know, one study was done, and do you know what one of the most common resume lies was? Claiming to be a member of the Kennedy family.
You're kidding.
No, what were they thinking?
Well, that was Pamela Meyer. She is one of the leading deception detection experts in the world today, and it is a very interesting and timely conversation. I want to thank all of my guests today. A very special thanks to my friend Harvey Levin of TMZ, radio host and journalist Clay Kane, editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire, author and host of his own show, Ben Shapiro, editor of Colette, Andy Ngo, and author and political commentator Sally Kahn. You may find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget to watch that podcast I was talking about. You're going to learn more about ways to detect lies.
Today, it's a classic Dr. Phil. Moms who can't mind their own business.
Open the door! I know you're in there. She watches me like a hawk.
You didn't like her hedges growing, so you mowed them down?
It made it harder for me to see. I'm just a loving, concerned mother.
Do you really think that?
Yes, it's just who you talk to.
Well, I'm talking to you. You're on the Dr. Phil show. We're going to find out where these guests are now. Believe me, a lot has changed. Today, we got into our vault and pulled a Dr. Phil classic episode that aired 14 years ago. It is still relevant all these years later. Get ready to rewind time to the year 2006, when there was no such thing as an iPhone, Instagram, Snapchat, and certainly not TikTok. Life was definitely different back then, with no quarantine, no mask, and no social distancing. In fact, in an episode that we called Mind Your Business, physical lines and emotional boundaries were definitely crossed by controlling family members who insisted on keeping tabs on their children and spouses 24/7. Denise was convinced that her 4 teenage children had secret friends, relationships, and double lives, so she rummaged through garbage cans to try to find evidence to prove that her kids were up to no good. Then there was Christy, who admitted to snooping through her husband Shannon's wallet and cell phone bills to see if she could find suspicious evidence to prove he was talking to strange women. She even smelled her husband's clothes to make sure they didn't smell like another woman. But first, let's start this walk down memory lane with Pamela, who admitted to tracking her 31-year-old daughter Carla's every single move. And just some advice, you're going to want to watch this episode all the way to the end, because we're going to find out where these guests are now. And believe me, a lot has changed.
Dr. Phil, my mom is way too nosy. She needs to mind her own business. Open the door!
We live in such close proximity to each other, I can't help but be involved in her life.
Open the door! I know you're in there. This is my house, And this is my mom's house. We live way too close.
It's natural for me to look out the window and see if Carla's home. It's just something I've always done.
She watches me like a hawk. I'm 31 years old and I can take care of myself.
I think that it is my nature to be involved.
Please let your stuff in.
I don't think I'm nosy at all.
If stuff's not up to par at our house, my mom would definitely let us know.
When's the last time you done any laundry? Let me
Just go home.
Don't say I didn't try to help it.
Aggravate. My mother nagged us 2 weeks straight to cut the hedges, and then we came home and they were just nubs.
I don't think it was bothering her, but it was bothering me, and I was going to do something about it.
My mom makes it her business to make sure that my rent is always paid on time.
My sister is Carla's landlord. I don't want Carla taking advantage of the situation.
It's gonna be paid. She reads my mail. She insists on knowing every bill that I have.
Sure, I read Carla's mail because she has some of it delivered to my house.
If my mom had her way, she'd run a background check on all of my friends. Where they live, do they go to church, do they drink, do they smoke?
As a mother, I want to know who she's hanging out with. I want to give an approval. Carla's told me to mind my own business, but I have concerns with her.
She is watching me. Even when I don't see her, she sees me. If you want to have sex, make sure the door's locked.
I know every move. She cannot pull the wool over on my eyes.
Recently, I came home at 11 o'clock with my 11-year-old daughter, and sure enough, my mom's calling, wanting to know where I've been.
That was unacceptable. By that time, my blood was boiling.
A minute later, my mom come barreling through the door in her pajamas, threatening to call social services.
We had a shouting match.
I told her, how dare you tell me you're going to take away my daughter? I'm fed up with her being so nosy.
She better be thankful I'm a busybody. If it weren't for me, this place would go up in flames.
Dr. Phil, am I overreacting to my mom's meddling, or is it time for her to butt out of my business?
Well, I don't know. Let's ask the audience. Is it time for her to butt out of her business? What's going on here? Mom, come on.
I'm just being a loving mother, trying to do what's best for my daughter.
You're just being a loving mother? Let's go over some of your loving behavior. You read her mail?
She has it delivered to my house. She won't pick it up. Somebody's got to read it. She don't pick it up for a week.
Somebody's got to read it. Did you appoint her to? Why do you read her mail? Seriously, why do you read her mail?
I think it's a lot of times just junk mail, so I just, before I toss it, I just check it out.
Okay. We need to go back over this dynamic here. See, I ask questions and then you answer with something resembling truth. Do you have any sense of boundary at all?
Some.
Is there anything you won't? I assume you don't crawl in bed with her when she's
no.
Okay.
No.
All right. So we got a marker there. You're south of that. But what makes you think she needs this kind of scrutiny, this kind of supervision, this kind of vigilance?
Sometimes she may have things come into the house that she may be looking for, and she wants me to be on the lookout for it, so I'm looking out for it. So when it comes in, sometimes I'll call her and ask her if it's okay to open it, to let her know that's what it is.
Do we need to replay that tape? This is you watching out for stuff coming in. Are you nosy?
No, I'm just a loving, concerned mother.
Really? Do you really think that? Or is that just the posture you think
I guess it's just who you talk to.
Yeah, well, I'm talking to you. And you're the one, I'm curious. You're over there knocking on the door. You didn't like her hedges growing, so you went over and mowed them down?
It looked terrible, and it made it harder for me to see.
Okay, all right. Now, that's an honest answer, okay? That's an honest answer. You didn't like the way he looked, and they obstructing your view.
Yeah.
Okay, you watch to see when she gets home at night?
Watching out for her.
Okay. Yeah, were you watching out for her when you came storming in and threatened to call Child Protective Services because she kept your granddaughter out till 11 o'clock at night?
I just thought she needed to be in bed at an earlier hour.
God bless you. God bless you. Now, seriously, do you really think that's your job? And listen, it is your job to love. It's your job to care, and I'm glad you do. I really am. But do you really think it's your job to come storming in over there at 11 o'clock at night, chewing her out for keeping her daughter out till 11 o'clock?
It's never been a problem to me.
Do you see what that says right there? You're on the Dr. Phil show. Okay? She didn't write in here and say, you know, Dr. Phil, I would just like you to meet my mom. Could we come in? No problem. I just want you to meet my mom. I think she's cool. I'd like you to meet her. That's not why you wrote, is it?
No, sir.
Why did you write?
Because I was tired of her interfering and watching my every move and making me feel irresponsible and not capable of taking care of my family.
It's kind of an insult, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's very
Okay,
much
so the question is, does Mother know best, or does Pamela need to stay on her side of the fence? We'll talk about that when we come back.
My mother interferes with every aspect of my life. She watches me like a hawk.
We live in such close proximity to each other, I can't help but be involved in her life.
If you want to have sex, make sure the door's locked. She needs to mind her own business.
Monday.
Why should people believe you didn't shoot this deputy sheriff?
It's not about believing me, it's about believing the evidence. There's no forensic evidence tying Rob Will to the crime. There's no DNA or gunshot residue evidence.
He did have gunshot residue on his left hand.
That's correct.
So why would it fall off his right hand but not his left hand?
It's one of the mysteries of the case.
The alternative explanation is he didn't pull the trigger.
That's Monday. Then, on Tuesday, is his online marriage...
Who married you?
I don't know.
A scam?
I sent my driver's license, Social Security. They had me investigated.
I'll bet they did.
That's Tuesday.
You know what time it is?
It's a never-ending battle with my mother.
It's a little too late for Jessica to be up.
She always thinks she's right,
Well, I don't care what kind of mother keeps her youngin' out.
but I'm wrong.
I don't feel like I'm interfering. I just feel like I have a lot of good advice to offer.
I'm constantly stressed out because my mom's prying into every area of my life.
Open the door.
Well, today we're talking to people who love to snoop, and they have a hard time staying out of other people's business. Now, Carla says even though she's 31, her mother, Pamela, watches her every move and even goes through her mail. Now, Pamela claims that's just what moms are supposed to do. I'm just being a loving, attentive mom, right?
Right.
Yeah, what part of the country y'all from?
North Carolina.
Okay, I knew you had to be Southern because I mean, well, I'm just from the South, and it's good to hear somebody for whom up is a two-syllable word. Said, she doesn't need to be up that long. It's just a touch of home. I like to hear that. It's easy on my ears. Do you just think she's not competent?
She comes to me and asks me for things. She comes to me for advice. She comes seeking me.
And you have a hard time differentiating between giving advice when you're asked and giving advice when you're not asked.
Obviously.
You have a hard time. Because when you got home at 11 o'clock with your daughter, did you call over there and say, Mom, could you come over and let me know what you think of this evening's agenda? I want you to come tell me how you feel about my decisions so far today.
No, sir.
You didn't ask for that, but you came anyway. So it's not just when she asked you for advice.
No, I just don't mind giving it.
Yeah. Do you do this with other people?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is really about communication and boundaries. And what I don't want to see happen is a lot of moms, when the child puts up the stop sign, then the pendulum swings totally the other way, and they say, okay, fine, you don't want to hear from me? I'll just sit there and watch your house burn down. And so you just go over and say, I'm not wanted anymore. You don't want my advice? Fine. That's going too far. That's not what you want, right?
That's the guilt trip.
That's the guilt trip. That's the manipulation guilt trip. I'll just go over here and eat worms. Okay? And that's not a healthy, what we're trying to do here is get a healthy balance, because this is crowding you, right?
Yes.
This is bugging you. And it really made you mad when she came over and said, you're keeping that child out, I'll turn you in. What in the world were you thinking? You threatening to turn your daughter in to Child Protective Services? You're keeping her daughter out till 11?
That was probably just a threat.
No, it was a threat. That's the problem. You're threatening your child by turning her into the government. I'm going to call the government on you. You're so bad, I'm going to call the government. In retrospect, does it seem like you had crossed the line there?
After I thought about it later, I thought maybe I came down a little hard on her. But, you know, I'm very protective over my granddaughter as well. You know, not nosy, just protective.
Okay.
See?
You're 31. She's 31. She's not 16 or 17, she's 31. And what's going to happen is you'll eventually push her away, because right now she's trying to resolve this in a really good-natured way, saying, Mom, take a step back, okay? We can cut our hedges. We can read our own mail. I can raise my own daughter. I do want your help and involvement. And extended family is so important for children. I think it's wonderful that she has a relationship with you if you manage it. But, you know, maybe, do y'all need to live back to back?
Well, the reason that we do is because rent is really cheap.
Yeah, well, it's cheap other places, too. I mean, the rent may be cheap, but the cost may be really high.
That's true.
I mean, and what she can do, and what you need to do if she doesn't moderate, you need to move.
Yes.
It's just that simple. You just absolutely need to move. And I can see this pendulum swinging already. Okay, fine. Fine. You won't hear from me again? You won't hear from me again. I'll just go over here and be alone. You don't want to do that, but you do need to moderate this and have some respect, some boundaries. I'm just talking to myself, aren't I? You're just nodding along. Just smile and nod.
That's a big step.
I think she doesn't know how to moderate.
Okay, but here's the thing. You're either going to take it or she'll take it for you. And you'll either say, Carla, tell me when I'm crossing the line. I want to know. And I will step back. And I'll wait to be asked. I'll wait to be invited. I'll wait to be solicited. I'll wait to get an invitation. And get a hobby. You know, go do something, you know? They won't put you in the brig from abandoning your post, you know. But I want you to do it before it gets to the point that she just says, okay, Mom, I'm moving. And you know what will happen? They'll make all the arrangements, they'll set it all up, and then they'll tell you about it, and then you'll go, oh, how do we get this cow back in the barn? Right. So think about taking a step back. All right, up next, a woman whose husband says she's driving him crazy because she snoops through his wallet, follows him in her car, refuses to let him out of her sight. We'll talk about that when we come back.
I ask him 50 to 100 questions a day. How many women were there? Did you flirt with me? Did they flirt with you? Did you miss me? Do you still love me like you used to?
Are you gonna follow me around all day asking me questions?
I smell my husband's clothes on a regular basis to see if there's perfume from other women.
We are back with a brand new season of my podcast, Fill in the Blanks.
With newlyweds and new parents, Jordan McGraw and Morgan Stewart McGraw.
People at first are like, he's so quiet, she's so loud. How does that really work out?
I'm the funnier of the two of them.
That's inaccurate.
Were you guys nervous when the baby was born?
Definitely not how I ever envisioned giving birth.
Jordan, what do people not know about Morgan?
Most people don't realize how gentle she can be.
I'm gonna cry. Are you crazy?
A brand new season of Fill in the Blanks.
You have a big announcement, right?
Available on Apple Podcast and Stitcher.
Today we're talking to what we call the Budinskis, people who just love to butt into other people's business. They don't respect boundaries. They just run in and over-involve themselves in another person's life. Now, you can say, well, if it's a family member, it's okay. Not true. Christy says that her obsessive snooping is so bad, she's even resorted to smelling her husband's clothes to make sure he isn't cheating on her. Take a look.
I don't trust my husband, Shannon, so I have to spy on him all the time.
My wife Christy's snooping is so out of control, I'm ready to pack up and leave.
I ask him 50 to 100 questions a day. Where did you go? Who were you with? Who all was there? How many women were there? Did you flirt with me? Did I flirt with you? Did you miss me? Do you still love me like you used to?
And it wasn't until I looked at the list of things that she does that I realized how out of hand it was.
Is Shannon there? Or has he left for the day? I check Shannon's cell phone bill to see if there are any unrecognizable phone numbers, and I check every number. Well, whose phone numbers are those?
Which one?
The ones that I've got highlighted.
If there's any there that she doesn't know, she will call them. And if a woman answers on the other line, she will interrogate them. Christy will get into my email and read all my emails and even the spam.
I smell my husband's clothes on a regular basis to see if there's perfume from other women.
Christy monitors my showers because she wants to make sure that I'm not cleaning up for another woman. I'll be out in a minute.
Why'd you shut the door? I go through Shannon's wallet to see if there are any names and numbers of other women. I constantly check Shannon's hand to see if he's got his wedding ring on.
I have no privacy whatsoever. Christy is always in my space. Are you gonna follow me around all day, asking me questions?
I've driven around to see if Shannon is in places that he shouldn't be. I snoop in his truck to find papers, names, phone numbers, letters, things that a woman may have left in there.
Christy has found hair in the truck that they belong to my daughter or her.
After Shannon's father passed away, he had an emotional affair last year.
I am already looking for places to stay. That's how close I am to leaving my wife.
Stop. I don't know why I do the things that I do.
Tell me your best theory of why you do this.
I'm insecure. I'm terrified that he's gonna leave.
Yeah. You're terrified he's going to leave. Has he left you before?
No.
Mm-hmm. But this is not something where, you know, a lot of spouses are sensitive to what their partners might do or not do, but this is something that this consumes you every day, all day, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean,
it actually is taking over my life.
It truly is.
It is.
You're consumed by it.
It is.
We did a day in the life. You get up. The first thing you do is, while Shannon's in the shower, and I don't know if you know this or not, you check all of the numbers on, like, cell phone. You go through his wallet. You go through everything you can get your hands on while you're in the shower. And I assume you know that. Yeah. Right. This isn't like an ambush.
I've walked in on it several times.
Yeah, you've seen this coming time after time. Then you take the kids to school, and from 8 to 4, you'll call Shannon 10 or 15 times and quiz him about his day. Don't flirt too hard. Think about me. Call me later. It just goes on and on. You ask about lunch plans. Then you'll start your chores and your snooping around the house. And that includes going through his drawers, clothing, pockets, looking for numbers, receipts, anything unusual. Smell clothes for cologne. Check all of his bills. You know, anywhere that he has been or touched, you're all over it every day, all day.
The moment he walks in the door.
Yeah.
The moment he leaves and the moment he walks in the door and in between. It's an obsession that I have that I don't know why, and I don't know how to fix it. I mean, every moment that he's not around, I'm constantly thinking the negative things.
What's this doing to you? I mean, truthfully, what's this doing to your feelings and your emotions for her and this relationship, honestly?
The only way I feel like I can stop is to leave. Because if I'm not around, she won't obsess about it. That's the only solution that I know.
How does it feel to hear him say that he's thinking, I've got to escape somehow?
It makes me want to stop, but then it just makes me do it more.
Yeah. Because you've heard that old saying, what I fear, I create. Mm-hmm. You fear he's going to leave you, and so you're doing exactly what will guarantee you that he or anyone with any sense of self whatsoever would do. They would leave you and say, I cannot and will not take this anymore. So you get that logically, but yet emotionally, you can't stop.
Right.
Okay. All right, so we're going to take a break. And then the question is, will this excessive snooping really backfire on her? I guarantee you there's a test going on here, and I'm going to tell you what the answer is going to be when we come back.
I want to know where Shannon is all the time. So I have to snoop on him 24/7.
I'm not hiding anything at all.
I'm obsessed with snooping constantly.
It just makes me feel like the best thing is to walk away from this marriage.
Monday.
Why should people believe you didn't shoot this deputy sheriff?
It's not about believing me, it's about believing the evidence. There's no forensic evidence tying Rob Will to the crime. There's no DNA or gunshot residue evidence.
He did have gunshot residue on his left hand.
That's correct.
So why would it fall off his right hand but not his left hand?
It's one of the mysteries in the case.
The alternative explanation is he didn't pull the trigger.
That's Monday. Then, on Tuesday, he claims he married online.
She's a beautiful woman. This is not a scam.
And that his new wife
The word wife usually describes somebody that I've at least met.
has a big inheritance.
$10.6 million.
Who married you?
I don't know.
You just signed your name on a piece of paper.
I sent my driver's license, Social Security. They had me investigated.
I'll bet they did.
That's Tuesday.
If I take a shower at an odd time, or shave, or put on a cologne, she questions me.
What are you doing?
Did you take a shower?
Didn't you take one this morning? I go through Shannon's dresser drawers looking for anything out of place. Receipts, phone numbers, names.
Christy's constant snooping and spying is pushing me right out the door.
Well, today's guests say that their spying and snooping is costing them their relationships. I mean, it really does. You either hear the person that's being snooped saying, I can't take it anymore. And in this case, Christy's saying it's consuming her and she can't take it anymore either, but doesn't know how to stop. You think you are obsessed with this and you're out of control.
Yeah, I feel like if I don't do these things on a daily basis, like call him 20 times, and if he doesn't answer, I call again and again until he does, it's like I get a panic-stricken feeling.
This is a test. You're pushing him really hard. And every time he answers the phone, every time his shirt doesn't have perfume on it, every time you don't find a receipt, it's like a drug addict getting a hit. That it gives you a moment of relief. But as soon as the anxiety starts to build, you got to have another fix. You got to have another fix. That's why the incessant questions. That's why the incessant phone calls. That's why the incessant looking. And every time he doesn't leave, every time you don't find something incriminating, then he passes the test and you get a temporary fix. Mm-hmm. Right? Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Now, play what if with me for a minute. Because, see, I think monsters live in the dark. I want to turn the lights on over this. I want to just play this out to the end. What if you find a receipt where he's taken some woman to lunch? What if you do?
I would just ask him about it.
Okay. And then what if he said, well, you're right. We had lunch and then we went over to the Sleazoid Hotel and checked in and we had sex and I'm having an affair and I'm going to leave you actually. What now?
It would just start a whole new argument.
No, not with him. He's gone.
You want me to interject?
No.
We broke it.
Nope, doing fine. Thank you. What would you do?
Survive. I guess I would have to live with it.
Yeah, you would be hugely pissed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? I mean, you'd just be like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. You would just be really mad, right?
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
You get over it, right? Would you shrivel up and die?
No.
Would you like brain run out your ear or something? You would, to use your word, survive. Right? You don't want it. I don't mean to trivialize it, minimize it, or whatever, but this god-awful, ghastly, oh my Lord, just what if this happens? What if it happens? What if it happens? What if it happens? What if it happens? All I'm saying is answer the question. What if it does happen? Great guy. I'm sure you love him. Sure you don't want him to do that, but if he does, you'll be fine. Won't you?
I hope so. I mean,
what's the alternative? Are you going to like...
I guess my question is, though, if it's not him, is it someone else that I'm going to do the same thing with?
I'm asking the questions.
Oh.
These two are interviewing me.
Because I want to stop, whether it be with him or anyone else.
I understand. I'm going to talk to you about that. Okay. But I'm talking to you about it now. This is what this is. This is me helping you. You just haven't recognized it yet. Okay? Because what I'm doing is I'm trying to turn on the floodlights so you see that this catastrophic thing that has you living in such gothic fear just really ain't that big a deal. I don't mean listen, go ahead and write me if you want. I don't care. But I don't mean to say that your spouse having an affair is not a big deal. It is a big deal. It's not a life-ending deal. It is not an all-consuming deal. It is not something that is the end of you. It's just not the end of you as we know you. You would get over it. People do all the time. They don't like it. It changes them, and it's hell to pay for the next old boy that comes along. But you will get over it. So this horrible thing you've got out there is just unlikely to happen. It's disproportionate. Now, very quickly, let me tell you what I think is going on and what I think needs to happen. I think you are not, in my opinion, I'm not the diagnostician here, but I don't think you have obsessive compulsive disorder. I think you have an acute anxiety disorder, and I think what has happened is you have begun to cope with that through this incessant checking to give you immediate relief. And immediate gratification is a real powerful thing. Okay? You need some other ways to manage your anxiety. And if you had other ways besides haunting him every moment of his life to manage the anxiety, you wouldn't need to do this anymore. So what you need is some other coping skills. And what I want to do is there are a number of things you can do in that regard, and I want to get you some help with that, okay? I want to get somebody in your town. I want to get somebody in your town that we will communicate with very, very specifically and give you some alternative coping skills so you can get some rest. Because don't you just want some peace to be able to enjoy your husband? Okay, isn't that what you want? You don't want to do this, and you don't want to run him off. You just want some relief. And I'm going to help you get that, okay? And you know what? It's not going to take very long to get it done. You're going to be amazed. How could I have suffered for this so long on something that could be fixed so quick? Okay, so you let me help you with that?
Yes, please.
Okay, now that's the reason I said, no, I don't want you to interject, because I have a definite plan here, okay? And just think every hour that she's with this counselor is at least 1 hour. So go for therapy. All right. Next, a mom who says as long as her children live under her roof, she has the right to eavesdrop on their phone calls, read their diaries, and even search through their clothes while they're sleeping. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
I have no problem going through my kids' backpacks, pants, pockets,
Got a lighter.
lifting up their mattresses.
Safe sex.
I even listened on their phone conversations.
She was thinking about getting her PI license because she enjoyed being so sneaky.
I did not buy her that.
I think my mom needs to butt out.
Monday.
Why should people believe you didn't shoot this deputy sheriff?
It's not about believing me, it's about believing the evidence. There's no forensic evidence tying Rob Will to the crime. There's no DNA or gunshot residue evidence.
He did have gunshot residue on his left hand.
That's correct.
So why would it fall off his right hand but not his left hand?
It's one of the mysteries of the case.
The alternative explanation is he didn't pull the trigger.
That's Monday. Then, on Tuesday, it's his online marriage.
Who married you?
I don't know.
A scam?
I sent my driver's license, Social Security. They had me investigated.
I'll bet they did.
That's Tuesday.
All right, Denise says it's her house, it's her rules, and she makes it a point to spy on her 4 teenagers. But now she's beginning to wonder if she might be crossing the line a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Take a look.
Come on, Mom, that's not fair.
Life isn't fair. Get over it. I have 4 teenage kids living in my household. I am a nosy parent.
She hides her phone like I don't know that's where it is.
But my 4 teenagers think I have no business going through their stuff.
I'd like to see photos. Valentine's memento. He emptied his call list.
I have no problem going through my kids' backpacks, dresser drawers, pockets.
Got a lighter.
Lifting up their mattresses.
Safe sex.
I even listened in on their phone conversations.
I think my mom snoops way too much.
This is where Kayla rips up her notes and throws them away.
I feel like I have no privacy at all.
I can put these together and read them.
My mom gets crazy with it.
Jacob's wallet. Progress reports that we never saw.
She goes overboard when it comes to finding things in our room.
2 girls and a phone number. You told the whole bus that we broke up. Is it true? I did not buy her that. She's not even supposed to have a boyfriend.
She was thinking about getting her PI license because she enjoyed being so sneaky.
He thinks he's so smart. He locked the door. Watch this. I want to find out who they're hanging out with and what they're doing.
Love note.
I think teenagers put on a big show in front of their parents.
Anything in the toes of their shoes?
When I found out my daughter had her MySpace account, I immediately disabled it.
This is why. It says, I look so seductive.
I refuse to be one of those parents who doesn't have a clue what they're doing.
I think my mom needs to butt out.
Dr. Phil, I'm running out of creative ways to snoop on my kids. Do you have any new techniques for me? I say, as long as they're living under my roof, it's my rules. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what I think in a minute, but first, what's the downside here?
The downside is my kids think that they're entitled to more privacy.
What if one of the downsides is that your kids say, Mom doesn't trust us, so we just must not be trustworthy? Would that be a downside?
Absolutely.
Do you think that is a possibility here?
Absolutely.
Because I think that's going on with your kids. Okay, second downside.
How many do you have?
Well, a few. Second downside, is it possible that because necessity is the mother of invention and we tend to be adaptive, that you're teaching these kids to be really good liars? You know, because you say, I don't know why my kids lie, I always catch them. No, you catch them every time you know about. And for every rat you see, there's 50 you don't. You catch them 1 out of 10 times. They say, oh yeah, she found that condom under my bed. She doesn't know about the baby. You know, that's just an analogy. That is not the situation in this family, okay? Not even close at all. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I'm going to weigh in on what I really think about this, and then we can maybe make a plan. You have a family member leaving you out of an inheritance that you know you deserve? Or are you caught in a pre- or post-nuptial nightmare? Well, I've got some background in all of this. Log on to drphil.com and send me an email. If it's chosen, I might just be able to help. We're talking with people who just can't seem to mind their own business, at least in the opinion of those who are falling under their watchful eye. Now, we're here with Mom Denise, who is a self-professed snooper. She snoops through everything from her daughter's lingerie drawer to the garbage can. If you want your children to be trustworthy, you've got to teach them how to respect themselves and trust themselves, because you can't be in the back seat with your daughter on a Saturday night. You can't be at that party with your son when somebody rolls a keg of beer in. Bottom line, I think you're being a damn good mother. I think it is your job to know what your children are doing. I think it is your job to know what's under their bed. I think it's your job to know if they've got bad rhetoric on a MySpace spot. I think it's your job to know if they're coming home after drinking. I don't disagree with that at all, and I wish more parents would tune in and dial in like you're tuning in and dialing in to your kids. Now, having said that, you got to lighten up, Mom. You do. You got to lighten up a little bit. See, I believe in trust with confirmation. You know, it's kind of like setting up a treaty with another country. They're not going to make a bomb. I'm going to trust them, but I'm going to go over and check.
Right.
And I think you have to do it with your kids, but I think it's a matter of how much they earn the trust. If they say, I'm going to go here, 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 and there, and you check, and they're here, 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 and there, then you don't have to check every time. It will be more effective if you don't check every time. If they don't know when you're going to show up and when you're not. You're too predictable right now. You said, do I have any sleuthing tips? You're too predictable. You're telegraphing this.
Mix it up a little bit, maybe?
Mix it up a little bit. You know, you're out there piecing notes together, so they're over there, right here, let her piece this one together. Okay, yeah. You do need to let them know this is going to be a program of trust with confirmation. If I find you where you say you're going to be, doing what you say you're going to be doing, then I'm going to lighten up. And they have to have some place that they can be private. If it's a journal or a diary, that doesn't mean that you can't know about their friends, you can't see where they're going, you can't drive by to see if their car's there. I think it's good to check, but you don't want to send the message you're not trustworthy. Okay. So I agree with what you're doing. I just think you need to, A, vary your game a little bit.
Done.
And let them know that they are trustworthy, because you basically have really good kids, don't you?
I do.
And you found a few things in your looking that if you weren't looking, you wouldn't have known, and you're better off for knowing it.
Right.
So I'm getting you, just give them a little opportunity to earn some sense of self-integrity.
Okay.
Deal?
Deal.
All right, we'll be right back. Want to know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else. Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today. Well, as promised at the top, we recently touched base with Pamela and Carla. Here's what they had to say.
Hey, Dr. Phil, it's Carla.
And this is Pamela.
Just wanted to give you an update on how things have been going since we were on the show last time. It's been about 15 years.
Is it time for her to butt out of her business?
You gave us some advice to move and for her to get a hobby. We did both.
I did get a hobby. I got a husband, and that has kept me really occupied. I have realized that what you told me, the advice you gave me, really helped me to bring to light how I was controlling Carla.
She's 31. She's not 16 or 17, and what's going to happen is you'll eventually push her away.
I appreciate your advice, and it was very helpful. I think it has helped our relationship because I'm over here more now than I was when I lived behind her, so we have a great relationship.
And I just want to tell you this. Her daughter, my granddaughter, she's about to move 3 doors up, so we'll see you soon.
I did tell her, by the way, that she's a lot better, so we'll see.
I have to say, when I suggested to Carla that she move away from her mom, I didn't really mean for her to pack up her bags and just scoot down the road a mile. But heck, if it's working for them, more power to them. It's better than nothing. We'll keep you posted on the granddaughter 3 doors down. If there are past guests you're curious about, reach out and let us know. You can find me on any one of my social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks for watching this Dr. Phil Classic. For more information about today's episode, log on to drphil.com. That's all for today.
On an all-new Dr. Dr. Phil.
Troubled teen marriages. You did threaten to kill the children.
I think I'm going to kill them, is exactly what she said.
No, I said this is why I see parents kill their kids.
They started a family when they were just kids.
They've got children raising children.
Now, it's all melting down.
Kim and Corey both have slapped the babies.
Have you been a negligent mother? A bleeding diaper rash, fighting in front of them. You have responsibilities for those children.
They didn't have milk because nobody would bring over milk.
Well, I would never let those babies go without milk.
Did you not
Wait a minute. Stop. Does this seem wrong to you? You're their mother. This is not okay. Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6. If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A and roll A. Track in.
Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you very much. Okay, now ask any teenager and they'll tell you how tough their life is, right? Schoolwork, dating, parents, dating, dating, some more dating. And when they are in love, obviously they think it's the real deal. This is the one, right? They know it, they just know it. They want to get married, they want to run away, they want to be together forever. Let me tell you, if you have a teenager who is in love or you think is sexually active, you should holler for them to come in the room right now, sit down with them, and watch today's show. Because I'm going to show you today just how far off in the ditch teen love can wind up. This can be a wake-up call for them. They can end up with 2 kids on their hips, no job, living with you, and guess who's going to raise those kids? You. This is what can happen when kids make adult decisions. Now today, my guests say their kids are in troubled teen marriages. Teen and marriage shouldn't be in the same sentence. My first guests, Dale and Lori, say their 18-year-old son, Corey, is in a toxic relationship with his young wife, Kim. They fell in love when barely out of junior high, and their crush quickly turned to chaos. They verbally abuse each other in front of their kids, which they already have, and they've only been married 5 months. Take a look.
You're supposed to bring home food.
You didn't bring home food.
My son, Corey, was 17 and Kim was 19 when they got married.
My daughter, Kimberly, did get married very young.
They're not happy. They never get along.
Come sit down. I'm sitting next to you. When Corey and I first started dating, I was 15, he was 14.
They were almost addicted to each other in the beginning. When one of them had to go home, they would cry until they could be together again. Shortly thereafter, they found out they were pregnant.
Corey and I have been married for about 5 months now. I have 2 kids, and their names are Tanner and Tara.
Corey was 14 and Kim was 16 when they found out they were pregnant.
We did get married because of kids.
Kim and Corey are ignorant in so many fathoms of life, and those kids didn't ask to be born into such a traumatic relationship.
Stop screaming now.
Corey and Kim both have slapped the babies. Kim and Corey both have a tendency to throw things, break things. They didn't feel the need to pick up dirty diapers, to wash bottles.
Tanner has asthma. They don't always give him his breathing treatments, and then he'll wind up in the hospital.
The children don't have a routine. They don't take baths at the same time. They don't eat at the same time. They don't go to bed at a decent hour. Whatever Kim and Corey's schedule is for the day is what is the baby's schedule for that day.
Kim and I fight about a whole lot of different things. Who's going to go to the store? Who's going to cook?
I asked you, what do you want me to cook for you? I'll cook anything for you.
Come sit down.
She'll confront me about drinking. She gets mad at me about my friends calling. She wants me all to herself.
Corey has slapped me on the face in front of his parents.
I've never hit her.
Corey and I fight a lot.
I worry about my kids when I'm not there. I don't trust her with them. Kim said she's going to kill the kids because I wouldn't come home.
I never said I was going to kill my kids.
I think she's crazy enough to do it. I absolutely think she's crazy enough to hurt them.
Corey's family has turned against me because I had an affair. Corey never paid attention to me, and so that's what pushed me into another man's arms.
I just called her to talk to that guy again.
And she's telling me she doesn't want me anymore. I don't know what to do anymore. After I found out she was having an affair, I came home and said I was going to cut the tattoo off my chest.
The tattoo of our wedding date. Corey was crying on the floor in a ball. I felt that he was very unstable. He kept screaming and punching the wall.
I worry about the effect on the kids a lot.
Tanner and Tara definitely will be emotionally burdened by this whole situation because of the emotional warfare that Kim chooses to play on them.
This is going to scar them for life.
I don't think they're fit to be parents.
Okay. Tell me why you two wanted to, agreed to, are here today.
I absolutely think we need help if we're going to work anything out at all.
How about you?
I obviously love him. After seeing that and saying I threatened my kids, it just changed now. I don't really.
She did threaten the kids. I've got it on tape at home.
Okay, you did threaten to kill the children?
No, I said this is why I see parents kill their kids.
You said, I've got to hurt them, Corey. I have to hurt them. I think I'm going to kill them, is exactly what she said. I called 911.
Okay, you have that recorded. Why were you recording her?
Because she had a restraining order against Corey saying that he threatened to kill her, and the lawyer said it would be a good idea to record the conversations.
Now, you're Corey's mother, and so but you don't endorse this relationship.
I do and I don't. I know they love each other so much, but I think their relationship is, like I said, I think it's toxic. They're addicted to each other, and it's not a healthy relationship.
Yeah, Dale, what do you think about this?
I don't like it.
Why?
It gets worse every day.
I mean, because we've got children raising children.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the whole problem.
I was kind of left in the dark on some of it because they wouldn't tell me. But I didn't like it from, they're not together no time. She comes up pregnant.
Yeah, they grounded me from her.
And he wasn't
allowed to see her anymore.
I'm sorry?
They grounded me from her. I wasn't allowed to see her anymore, and I'd sneak out in the middle of the night and stuff.
How old were you when Kim got pregnant?
I was 14.
You were 14. Did y'all know he was sexually active?
No. He was, he was a junior pastor at our church. He counseled other kids about premarital sex.
Okay, and you were a youth counselor.
I was a Sunday school teacher.
Yeah,
and I went to pastoral college.
Okay, and y'all were very much in favor of abstinence.
Yes.
And you were working with other youth, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but at 14, had anybody saying to you about condoms or safe sex or anything of the sort?
Yes, sir, they did. But when we first met, she had said she was on birth control and all this stuff, and I was a virgin at that time. I lost my virginity to her. And
you were a virgin at 14? Well, it happens.
Sometimes
most people are, aren't they?
Okay. Does this seem wrong to you to be, how old are you now?
I'm 20.
You're 20 now, and you're married with 2 children. And how old were you when you got pregnant?
I was 16.
Okay, you were 16. He was 14. And you were having sex. As you look back on that, does that seem like a bad decision?
Very.
And you didn't get pregnant just once. I would think once you would go, oh my God, exactly. I have a miniature human here, and I'm only 16. Oh my God. But then you got pregnant again. So are you like a slow learner?
No, I was on
Or
birth
did you
control.
do it on purpose?
No, I was on birth control. I really was.
If you was on birth control, you wouldn't have got
you were
pregnant.
allergic to birth control pills, is what you
I
told
never
me.
said I was allergic to birth control pills.
Okay.
If you're on birth control, you don't get pregnant about 98% of the time.
No, it's because I was only on it for about 4 weeks when I got pregnant.
Okay. Were you having sex before you were on birth control?
Yes.
So you were having unprotected sex after you had already had a baby at 16?
Yes.
So what was your thinking?
We weren't.
Pardon me?
We weren't thinking.
I reckon not. Okay. All right. Well, we got to figure this out. Look, there's a reason I'm doing this show today. I'm doing this show today for you, as well as for them. Robin and I raised 2 teenage boys. And as far as we know, they don't have any children out there. None that we've heard about. And I want you to be able to say the same thing. Now, we're going to add Kim's mom to the mix here. When we come back, more of Corey and Kim's dramatic confrontations. Now, wait till you hear what really happened the night Corey was arrested. Okay, we'll be right back.
We have recorded some of the conversations between Kim and Corey. She's literally blackmailing him.
Our wedding was great. I was happy, elated. It was perfect.
Our wedding was really small.
And when she was walking down the aisle, it was the most wonderful time. She was beautiful.
It was not my dream wedding.
I felt like it was going to be the rest of our lives.
It was fun. It just wasn't what I wanted, really.
Well, that was Corey and Kim talking about their wedding day. And from what we just saw, it's clear they weren't on the same page. I mean, the same kid can't be on the same page day after day. That's why we call them kids. Now, I'm wearing two hats today. I'm talking about this from a parent's perspective and also from an advice-giving perspective. Now, they've been married for 5 months. They have 2 children and a load of problems, probably because they met and had children at like 14, 15, 16 years of age. Now, Janet, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Janet is joining us via webcam. She says Corey and Kim want to be teenagers without the responsibility of taking care of their families. So you join with Corey's parents here in saying, A, that this is not a good situation to be in, and B, that they're not taking care of their responsibilities, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
What do you see that concerns you most about these two as parents?
And I wouldn't say it's neglect of the children, because they do love their children. They just don't want the responsibility of them 24 hours a day like a parent should. They want to be kids. They want to have their friends come and go as they want to. They don't have the responsibility financially. They don't even know what financial responsibility is at this point.
Okay, where are you two living right now?
Well, he refuses to.
Are you all having intimate relations on any kind of regular basis now?
We're not allowed to be around each other 91 days. I got a protective order.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but that wasn't the question, though. The question was, are you being intimate now?
We did last night.
Pardon me?
I said we did last night.
Okay. Yeah. Did you put that protective order between you?
If it would have fit.
Yeah. So you have a protective order against you because you turned him into the police?
Yes.
And why was that?
Because he was crying, curled up in a ball on my kitchen floor, begging me to take him back. And he got a knife out. He reached up and pulled a knife and said, "I'm going to cut my tattoo off my chest."
Because what's the tattoo on your chest?
The tattoo of our wedding date. It says 4/27/07 on my chest.
Yeah. Well,
bad idea.
Let me tell you, tattoos tend to last a lot longer than teen marriages. So that's a bad idea as well. Are you on birth control now?
Yes.
Every day?
Yes.
For sure you're on birth
yes.
control?
It's there.
Have you been on it consistently enough that it's
yes.
taking effect?
Yes.
Because you could get pregnant again.
I've been on birth control since March of '06.
Do you believe that she's using protection?
Yes.
Absolutely. Do you believe she got pregnant on purpose last time?
I don't think she did it on purpose.
Yeah, do you think she got pregnant on purpose?
Yes, I do.
Do you?
I'm not sure. I questioned it, but I really don't know for sure.
You know, you learn. I don't care how big of a kid you are. There's a time that, you know, look, you know what causes this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I've heard about it.
The second time, the first time, you know, okay, when we were 15 or 16, 14, made a mistake. But, you know, here a year later, we got another little baby.
Okay, now, you said when they were getting together to begin with, that the relationship was just obsessive?
Obsessive.
That you just felt like you had to be together 24 hours a day? It was just what you just got up in the morning and just had to be together every minute of every hour of every day, right?
And we were.
And when they worked together, they were on the phone, and when I made them hang up, they would cry.
Yeah, and I'm talking about that because every teen love affair in America, every little girl, every little boy that is smitten with their high school sweetheart is just that way. You know, they're texting, they're on the phone, they're doing everything you guys did. But you got pregnant, okay? And I want every parent in America to hear that, because you were in love in school, right?
Right.
It's all you thought about. It's all you talked about. It's all you got up for in the morning. You would eat, sleep, everything was just each other, right?
That's it.
And now you got a protective order on him. You're wanting to carve the wedding date off of your chest. And you've got 2 kids in the mix. Okay. Now, Lori, Dale, and Corey say Kim's biggest lie cost Corey his job and the right to see his kids. Now, they say 2 weeks ago, Kim lied to the police about Corey threatening her and the kids with a knife, but she didn't sound too scared hours later when she was on the phone with Corey begging him to come back.
We have recorded some of the conversations between Kim and Corey. This is the beginning of one of the conversations where she's already issued the restraining order. She's trying to get him to meet her again.
I read your written statement, Kim. I said I was going to kill myself. I never threatened you. No, you said that I threatened you. No, I said I felt threatened. If you want this wrong, please.
In one part, Kim actually says, if you want me to go up to the lawyer tomorrow and drop those charges, you will come meet me right now. I mean, she's actually threatening it. She's literally blackmailing it.
What do you say about that?
I never told him to come, please. That was not my voice, obviously. All I told him, I said, oh my God. Whenever I called him, I said, can you please meet me somewhere at the park or somewhere, because that's the only place we're allowed to meet. And he was like, no, not until you go to the lawyer's office. And I said, well, I'm not going to the lawyer until you meet me somewhere. Because I wanted to talk, because I thought they were going to set me up.
Did you just say that wasn't your voice?
I never said, come, please.
Okay, we'll listen to it again. Play the tape again.
We have recorded some of the conversations between Kim and Corey. This is the beginning of one of the conversations where she's already issued the restraining order. She's trying to get him to meet her again.
I read your written statement, Kim. I said I was going to kill myself. I never threatened you. No, you said that I threatened you. No, I said I felt threatened. If you want this wrong, please.
In one part, Kim actually says, if you want...
That was you on the tape. Those were your words, because you said that wasn't you, that wasn't your voice.
Well, that was me, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, so we're talking about the same things here. Because if anything's going to happen constructively here, we got to stop this game playing. And it seems funny to me to be saying to you guys, you've got to quit these childish games because you're children. And children play games. That's why children don't get married and become parents, because they're not mature enough to have their priorities in the right place to make the sacrifices necessary to protect those that need protecting. And this isn't all about you. It isn't all about you. You have children here, and you have responsibilities for those children, or they need to be taken away from you two and put somewhere that they can get the nurturance and safety that they deserve.
Can I say something?
As soon as we come back, you can say whatever you want to. We're going to take a break. Then we'll let Kim say whatever she wants to. I want to hear from her mother as well. And I'm curious what the adults in this situation think should happen. You see why I suggested that you watch this with your teenage lovebirds. We'll be right back.
Kim's lied to me since the day we met.
After I met Kim, I realized she had a problem with lying.
She had bragged during school that she was pregnant when she wasn't.
She lied to me about her dad living in some big mansion.
Kim told me that she was adopted, that her mother beat her regularly. I met her mom, and the resemblance was uncanny. I knew that she wasn't adopted. I knew that she didn't beat her.
Kim was a habitual liar. You can't trust her.
I confronted Kim about her lying. I just hugged her and I said, Kim, I know you're lying, honey. You have a problem with lying, don't you? And she just burst out crying.
Well, moms, if you have teenagers in love who are thinking about getting married, being sexually active, I've suggested that you watch this show and you watch it with them today. If they're not there, I hope you hit record so you can show it to them. 20-year-old Kim and 18-year-old Corey have taken the marriage vow, for better or worse, to a whole new level. They've only been married 5 months, but yet they have 2 kids under the age of 3, and they're already separated. There are no jobs, there's nobody paying rent in an apartment from which they will soon be evicted. The parents are completely against this. You say that Kim is a liar. Janet, you're there with us. You say that Lori tends to stir things up and create a lot of drama where there doesn't need to be. But you don't disagree about the priorities here, do you?
No, I don't. And yes, Kimberly does have some problems with the truth, but I don't think it's all Kimberly's fault. I think right now everybody is at fault, even the parents here, the adults. We're losing track of what we're here for in the beginning, and that is these kids. And, you know, they're blaming Kimberly for everything. Corey's, you know, he's not a saint. He likes to drink. He likes to go out with his friends. He won't hold a job.
That's not true.
So it's not just Kimberly. There's everybody
He lost his job
is
because he threw him
involved
in jail.
Okay, well, they're saying that's not true, that he got fired from his job because he got put in jail by Kim.
He did. He did get fired from his job because he came home early one day so they could fight.
So, Kim, what did you want to say? You
About
want to
the
say
kids.
something when we went to break.
About the kids. They said that we neglect them. We don't.
No one said that we neglected
And that we don't take responsibility. But when we're alone with them, that's all we do is care for them. Our house is cleaner than their house. Our house is spotless. Their room, there's no diapers on the floor. The only reason why we had so much problems at their house was because they were nagging us. They were telling us to do this. You need to have clothes on him. You need to do this.
Well, Corey, you say that you guys have knocked down, drag out fights in front of the kids.
We have had knocked.
You say, Lori, from being there, that they don't feed, bathe, and change the diapers, that both kids have chronic diaper rash, that they don't take the kids out, that you wind up doing babysitting, and
So does Janet.
that there are always temper tantrums, and that these kids have been slapped inappropriately.
Yeah.
Now,
They sure have.
No, I can't honestly say, without a doubt, that
Both of
when
them have.
you can ask my dad about this. Now, when we first moved into that apartment, we were doing really good. Before I found out about the affair and all that stuff, we were doing good, and the kids were taken care of. And you can ask my dad. Neither of them had rashes. They went to the swings with me every day for an hour or two.
Then what?
I found out about the affair, and that's when the big fight happened, and that's when I got thrown in jail, and I got separated from them. And now when she brought them back over the other day, now they did have real bad bleeding diaper rash, and it was ridiculous.
And the only reason they didn't have milk, and it wasn't because I wasn't changing their diaper. It was because they went to bed with juice for the past 2 days because nobody would bring over milk.
Why is that? What? Did you call me and ask me for milk, Kim?
And Corey said he was not going to ask you because you didn't have money. He said,
I would never let those babies go without
Corey,
milk.
did you not tell me that they said?
Ever.
Say that.
You
I said, you need to call your mom because my...
As soon as I knew that, Kim, what'd I do? I went out and bought a pack of diapers.
Wait a minute. Stop. I'm going to ask Corey what he's been doing to take care of his family when we come back. First off, you guys you got sexually active in your teenage years. You had not one baby, but 2. Then you went out and had an affair with someone else, right?
Well, I wouldn't call it an affair because we didn't do anything. He just came over.
Okay.
My apartment. You let another man in my apartment, regardless of whatever the hell you want to say. You let another man in my apartment. In the story, you did not let another man into my apartment. You see this ring? I kept mine on, and you didn't. We're married.
But I didn't have an affair.
You admitted to me that you kissed him out on the way out.
Like
on the way out the
goodbye,
door.
just like you kiss other people.
Okay, whatever. I'm
You
just telling you.
admitted that too.
Okay, did you tell this, is this a guy you met that you told him these weren't your children?
I never said
That's
these weren't
him.
my children.
I have text
No, I
messages and I
didn't. He
have
came over
MySpace
and saw the
messages and
kids.
everything.
This isn't about coming to the defense of your child.
Amen.
If there are young children here that have bleeding diaper rash or going to bed without milk because you're waiting for somebody to bring it to you, you're their mother. Go get it. Why can't you go get it?
I didn't have money. I didn't have any car or anything. I didn't have money.
They're your children. What do you, you're under a restraining order. You can't go there. But are you aware that your children are going to bed hungry?
I am, absolutely. And I tried, you know, I told my mom
This
and dad.
is not okay.
But Janet,
we wouldn't be having to worry about it if the restraining order had never got issued, if Corey hadn't lost his job, which prevented him from keeping the kids at night while she went to her job during the day. None of this would be going on.
Okay, I understand we can take a snapshot in this situation, and that everything you just said is probably true. That's a snapshot in a movie. That's one freeze frame in a movie. There's a lot more going on here than that. So okay, ding, 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 round goes against Kim in this situation. But that's not the point here. These you are concerned about these children, and rightly should be. The question is, what are we going to do with you two to step up? Why aren't you working?
I can't get a job.
Are you how many hours a day are you spending looking for a job? Because if you don't have a job, your job is finding a job. Do you have a full-time job?
This will be, well, it's kind of full-time. It just depends on what calls we get because
it starts coming up, right?
No, he's already done it some.
I've already done some of
Are
it.
you making enough money to feed your children?
Absolutely. When I start, I'll be able to make enough.
Okay, that's what you're going to do, but you haven't been so far.
Not so far.
But now he's got to pay a lawyer $1,500 too.
What's your point?
Well, I'm just saying, I mean...
No, I know. You're just saying. What are you just saying? What is your point? What I'm trying to do is talk to them about their responsibility with these kids. And are you wanting to assign blame here? If so, let's just do it, and then we can talk about the solution.
I agree. Yeah, I'm wrong. I admit it.
All right, we'll be right back. I want to get to what they need to do, is what I'm trying to do. If you're a parent of a teen in love, you always have this conflict in you. It's fun to see them excited. It's fun to see them going to prom. It's fun to see them having a girlfriend or a boyfriend and getting corsages and all of these things that happen in school. But there's that line that you don't want them to cross. In this story, it has been crossed. Corey and Kim got pregnant in their teens. They now have 2 babies, and everything has fallen apart. Surprise, surprise. Of course it's fallen apart because we have children that are married. We have children raising children. Now, Kim, let me ask you, do you think that you have contributed to the problems here?
Yes.
Have you told lies? Have you been less than responsible as a mother?
Yes.
Have you contributed to the problems here?
Absolutely.
At this point, do you think you have been a good, responsible father?
Not entirely. I believe I've tried, you know. I've tried to have a job.
Trying doesn't count for much. I mean, these kids, when kids are hungry, they don't go to bed and say, well, he tried. They don't say, you know, my stomach hurts, but they're trying. They're doing the best they can.
Well, you know, if I wouldn't
These
have
are
ever
little
lost that
kids.
job, if I would have never lost that job. I was making plenty of money. I could have made rent easily.
You
and
weren't
everything
getting
would have been
along
fine.
before you lost that job. It is not responsible to curl up in the floor and decide to carve your wedding date tattoo off your chest. You have children. That is irresponsible. It is immature. It is unwise. So don't tell me that if she hadn't called the cops on me, we'd be living in the suburbs with a picket fence, because that's a load of crap. Right?
I agree.
And I'm kind of conflicted here. You're 18, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, I have a 20-year-old. I can't imagine this 20-year-old trying to raise a plant or a cat. And you have 2 children. So I mean, I'm saying these things like, don't you get it? And then part of me saying, of course he doesn't get it. He's a child. So I feel like I'm going schizophrenic up here. You have no business being parents, but when you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. You chose the behavior, the consequences are 2 children, and you have to go onto the laser lane of growing up. You got to go to the laser lane of growing up. You know, you want to create all of this drama and have some boy over, and you're flirting with him, and then you're on the phone having drama with him. You don't have time for that. You have 2 children to raise. You have 2 children to raise. So they just became your number 1 and 2 priority. Okay? You need to get a job, and you need to not be going out with your friends. You need to not be drinking. You need to not be figuring out how you can get money for another tattoo or some chrome rims on your car. You have children. They need health care, they need food, they need preschool, they need education, they need clothing, they need stability, they need all of these things. I'm sorry that you have to deal with that at 18, but you made that choice when you were 14. Okay? And I really question where all of y'all were when all of this was going on. I know you can't watch them 24 hours a day, but we are where we are. Now, do you two, let me just ask you some hard questions and just get some straight answers. And this is a time, this is a critical series of questions in your children's lives. So you need to answer honestly and intelligently as you possibly can. Okay. And these are critically important questions. So gather yourself, forget about television, forget about the cameras. I'm going to give you a moment to think about this, and when we come back, I'm going to ask you those questions. Well, I'm here talking about teen love, and I've got some parents here. I've got Laura and Dale. I have Janet on webcam, that is Kim's mother. And you know, one of the things that is perhaps most disconcerting about this is these are not bad parents. They are not irresponsible parents. They are not inattentive parents. They are not parents that have not been plugged in along the way. I mean, you guys haven't been asleep at the switch. This can happen. Now, had I been there whispering in your ear when he was 14, I'd have been telling a different story than you might have been telling yourself, because this isn't the first time I've done this. This ain't my first rodeo. Now, let me ask you all some critically important questions here. Have you been a negligent mother? That's not an essay question. It is yes or no, and you know in your heart the answer. What is it?
Yes and no. Yes.
No, this is not a yes or no. There is a standard of parenting, and you have either met it consistently in a quality fashion or you have not. That's a yes or no question.
Yes, I have.
You have done that. Okay, so a bleeding diaper rash, no food for your children, fighting in front of them, that all meets your standard of parenting. Okay, that answers the question for me. All right, now my question for you is, have you been negligent as a father? Have you failed your duty in a consistent and quality fashion as a father?
I failed my duties.
Okay, you have failed your duties. You think you have not failed your duties as a mother? I seriously disagree. All right, question number 2. Is this to the point that you two need to shut this relationship down? Do we need to get a divorce here so each of you can get out of the pressure cooker? Is it time for you to say, we need to shut this down? It was a mistake to begin with. It was ill-conceived. It has ill-evolved, and we should not be married at this point. What is your answer to that?
Yes.
The answer is yes. You think you need to be out of this emotional pressure cooker and back with your parents. Okay, what do you say?
I agree with her. I told her it was her choice. So
I'm not asking you what she should do. I'm asking you if you believe that this is ill-conceived and you need to shut it down now.
Yes, I think we do.
Okay, question number 3. Do you think and feel that you are or are not able to handle these children? Should these children be placed for adoption? Should they be given up to either family or foster care or somewhere so they have a fighting chance in this world to get it together?
I believe I can take care of them. I absolutely think I can.
I know I can. I've been doing it for the past week, and I've been really good. I know I can do it.
Did you say you've been doing it for the past week?
By myself, like just me and the kids. No one's been over to help me. I've been doing it.
Are you willing to make the sacrifices necessary?
I am.
Because I'm telling you, this isn't, a father with children doesn't go spend $10 on beer on a Friday night. He doesn't go to a tattoo parlor and spend $100. You don't get arrested for drinking underage. You don't go get rims on your car. You don't go hang out with your friends playing video games till 3 in the morning and not show up for work the next day on time. You don't do those things that a lot of young guys do, because you're a young guy with 2 kids. So that means you've got to decide, I have a responsibility. My money goes to my children and taking care of them. That's what it's talking about. Okay? It also means that you spend time with those children, quality time with those children.
I agree.
Do you understand that this means that you have to get a job, that you have to arrange for child care, that you have to do the things that are the sacrifices necessary for children to have stability in their life and in their homes? Because if you don't, then you need to admit that, put your ego aside, and let someone more capable raise these children. And I'm troubled that you say, yeah, I'm up to it, I've been doing a good job, because I don't see that. I don't see that. I see a whole competing agenda in the tape pieces, in the things that you say here. I don't think you get yet the sacrifices necessary to raise these children. I'm not saying you can't. And let me be very frank with you. I think you are a lovely young woman. I mean, I really do. And you seem to have a really sweet spirit about you. I think you're easily hurt. I think you're easily wounded in spirit. And I think you're doing the best you can with what you've got. But it just isn't much when it comes to the adult role that you're in. And you heard the answer to the questions, moms, dads. What do y'all think about what they're saying and what I'm saying?
I don't think either one of them can do it alone. I think without serious counseling in a lot of areas. They both need anger management. They need help. And it's not just Kim. They both need help with lying. I mean, in the games they play and the vindictiveness and everything.
Yeah, that's why I say, look, the chance of, let me just, we're just here about being honest, right? The chance of this marriage working is very, very low. I mean, come on. The divorce rate with teen marriages is over 60%. You add kids, it even goes up beyond that. Physical violence in marriages is the highest among teens than any other group across the board. It just, and you're already living it. You're living the statistic. You are the statistic. You are the statistic. And the sooner you admit that, the better off you're going to be. The sooner you admit it, the better off you're going to be. Janet, anything you want to add before we go to break here?
Yes. As far as Kimberly raising the children, I know we have talked about this, and she does want to keep her kids. and she has her entire family to support her. If that means moving back in with me, we're all behind it.
We'll be right back. Okay, let me say to you two that if I make resources available to y'all in terms of parenting and home planning and job procurement, whatever is needed, whether it's marriage counseling, individual counseling, parenting, whatever, if I make those resources available to you two, will you avail yourselves of that?
Absolutely.
I mean, right there where you live, I'll arrange resources there for you guys to do that, because you don't want to have a know-it-all attitude here. There's a lot you can learn, so you can do this right. I have no doubt that you both love those children, but, you know, it's, love that's kept here but not lived doesn't do them any good. So you will accept that help, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you guys will be fully apprised of everything that's going on, because you'll probably be asked to participate in that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. For more information on teen relationships, go to drphil.com. We're going to have some do's and don'ts, and you want to stop these things before they get too far. I thank all of my guests for being here today. We'll see you next time. So long.
All new Dr. Phil today.
They were beautiful twin sisters who ruined their lives with prescription pills.
The dramatic conclusion of the pill-popping twins.
You are a drug addict. You've got to wake up and say, what the hell happened? Now they must make the ultimate choice. You need help. You two aren't holding it together anymore. Life or death? That's a yes or no question. Coming up. Let's do it. I want you to get excited about your life.
Here we go, in 10.
Stand by, camera 6. If it's happening now, we're going to deal with it now.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Stand by A and roll A. Check in. Go, Dr. Phil.
Yesterday, we started a very important intervention with twin sisters addicted to pain. Involved, and the children that are being victimized is just too big to do in one show. There is so much more to do today. So let me catch you up. In case you missed yesterday, take a look at what's happened so far.
Over the last 6 years, my twin sisters, Yvette and Yvonne, have done pain medicine on a daily basis.
I take Xanax and methadone in the morning, and I take it in the evening. My sister has an addiction too. I take 2 drugs. The antidepressant in the morning, the Xanax at night. I can quit taking drugs at any time. I became addicted to pain medication when my husband was in an accident. His doctor was giving him so many drugs. My kids found me passed out on the floor. That was the worst. What are you doing, man?
The twins and Yvonne's children live with my mother.
You lied to me! You lied!
It bothers me that they don't have a problem cursing those children out.
Hell no!
You little Yvette screams at him at the top of her lungs.
No, 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 no!
This whole situation is out of control.
There's no family connection.
You wrote to me why?
because I want them to get some help.
What do you say to yourself about it?
I know it's wrong, but it gets me through the day.
Has it not created huge problems in your life already?
With my family, it has.
Did it cost you custody of your daughter?
Yeah.
Your husband was doing drugs. He crossed the median head on into two people that are now dead. You reason to take these drugs anyway.
Because I'm so stressed out, raising my kids.
When Yvette and Yvonne are coming off of drugs, that's when explosive tempers start up.
What do you call the kids?
No. Brats, they don't listen.
How do you feel about that?
It's horrible, it's terrible.
Then why do you do it?
We can't get through the day if we don't have it. Last night, I took a Xanax to go to sleep. I was sleeping on the floor. Yvonne was passed out, sleeping like this. Sleeping like this.
She fell asleep last night on a plate of food on her bed because she slept with Xanax.
You want to know the truth? Well, I have the truth, what Mommy does. Oh, no, it's on now. It's on. It's on.
I drink and gamble to handle the stress, to get away from the book.
She will find something to bitch about. It don't matter what it is, she will find something to bitch about.
Me and Yvonne wake up in the morning, try to have a good day. But my mama comes out and says all these things. She calls us bitches and losers, mother in front of the kids. She makes us go crazy. She makes us want to do drugs. We cannot live with her anymore. If we die, she would not care.
Yes.
And no, Maria, shut up. I'm talking.
Tell me what you want to do. That's life. You have to.
Have you driven the kids high?
Yes.
And you know it, don't you? She lost custody of her child because of drugs. Not a great resume for child care. Drug addicts cannot raise children properly, so you got to make a choice.
Yvette and Yvonne are not going to be involved in my wedding.
How do you feel about the fact that your sister doesn't want you in her wedding?
I don't have to go.
Yvette,
I'm not. I am not.
I'm trying to get
I'm not going to your wedding, okay? You hurt me bad. I'm so embarrassed right now.
I didn't do this to hurt you. I did this to help you.
I'm so embarrassed.
You should be. This is terrible. This is all so terrible.
Yeah, they clap for you, huh?
You have your feelings hurt by a number of things. You don't feel appreciated for the sacrifices that you're making for these children, correct? Because you're sitting there thinking, okay, what about all the mornings that I drag myself out of bed, that I care for them instead of myself, I get them dressed, I take them to school, I do this, I do that, and what I get for it is criticized. That's how you feel about it. My own sister, who wrote into this show and paraded my problems in front of everybody in America so I look like a complete idiot, also says she's too embarrassed to have me at her wedding. Her own sister, her own flesh and blood. That hurts your feelings, true? That hurts your feelings?
Definitely.
How do you feel about that? Do you blame her, really?
No, I don't blame her. But I would not. I would hold myself. If she would ask me to walk in her wedding, I would not do drugs. I would not make a fool out of myself. I would walk down that aisle and feel proud of her. I would not ever make a scene at her wedding. I wouldn't. She knows I wouldn't. And it did hurt my feelings.
The fact that they are on drugs played a huge role in not asking them to be in my wedding, but the first reason that I didn't ask them to be in my wedding is because our relationship has been so strained. I mean...
No, you didn't say the drug, you said, because you told Rosie they hate me.
Y'all do. Y'all call and curse me out. What am I supposed to think?
Like we hate you. You are so wrong.
Within what?
You're so wrong.
Okay, if I called and cursed somebody out, if I call and somebody and just tell them every horrible thing I think about them, why would I expect them to want me to be in their wedding? My wedding has nothing to do with any of this.
You
The
know
fact-
deep down in your heart, me and Yvette does not hate you. You know deep down.
Do you call and cuss her out?
No, I don't call and curse.
What do they? What happens? What happens? What do they do when they call you? What are they mad
Why
about?
did I curse you out?
You called me one night, probably a month and a half ago, and you were up. You wanted to tell me something.
I told you,
about
you need to get out the house because Mama is complaining. She wants to sell her house. And you
Okay,
said
and-
it's none of my business, and that's when I went off on you.
Because it isn't. I'm doing things that you haven't even been there.
Hey,
I'm doing
this
things
is,
for Mama.
It's my business. You make your business our business.
to her about it every day.
All right, Mom.
So
I'll
Mama
work
makes
with
it,
Mama.
Mama makes it her business.
I know everything. So that's why I called you to tell you, get out of the house so Mama can sell it, so she can be on her own.
Well, let me
and
just
you
say-
said it's none of my business.
Let me just
And
say,
that's when I
Mama's
went
on the
off
phone. Mama is on the phone. Her name is Debbie. Rosie is on the phone. Another sister, and you guys just chime in anytime you want to. Not if you don't, but if you want to say something, just chime right in. Anything you want to say about this, Debbie?
They feel that I am partial to Maria, that she's number one. I have tried to help the relationship with the two older ones, Yvette and Yvonne, has been strained because it's a continuous help, and it's something that hasn't changed.
Do you believe they are addicted to drugs?
Most definitely.
Do you believe that their lives are in danger?
Most definitely.
Do you believe that they are competent to care for these three children?
No, that is why I'm still in the house with them.
Do you believe that your interaction pattern with them is constructive or destructive?
No,
Is this
not
working
at
or
all.
not?
It's destructive. Most definitely destructive.
Do you participate in the yelling and the fighting and the cussing in front of these children?
Yes, yes.
Are you aware that these twins say that they are afraid of you?
Really? If they were that afraid of me, I would think that I would have some kind of bearing on them changing their lives.
Yvonne, why do you say you're afraid of her?
Because I don't know, like when I get home, I don't know what mood she's going to be in. Or when I wake up, I don't know what mood she's going to be in. And that scares me.
What happens when she's in a bad mood that scares you?
We start fighting in front of my kids. And it ruins my day. And she wakes up.
It ruins all of our days.
Yeah. And she wakes up and she finds something to bitch about. Slamming doors, cabinet doors.
Yvette, are you a bully when you get mad? Do you get physical and attack?
Sometimes I
Do
do.
you shove your sister around?
Sometimes.
Do you attack your mother?
Sometimes.
Have you tried to hit her and bite her and kick her and punch her?
No, I never bit her. No.
All right, we're going to talk more about this when we come back. And Yvonne and Yvette's father is here as well. Now, he says he knows all about battling drugs because he's been recovering for the last several years, and he wants his daughter to turn things around. We'll talk to him when we come back. Well, I'm here talking with Yvette and Yvonne. They're twins addicted to pain pills, in my opinion, as well as other things. Now, they can debate what substance is most operative and active. I'm not really interested in that. I think we have a double addiction problem here. We've got kids that are caught in the middle. I think they are in jeopardy. I think their lives are in jeopardy. I think their futures are in jeopardy. I think they're already experiencing developmental problems. From Dad.
Yvette uses drugs as a way to escape her dark depression. Yvonne will use it as a way of just trying to be happy through the day. I do speak to them about it, and they're fairly honest with me. As a father, it's devastating. Yvette and Yvonne's mother and I were very young when we had them, and yeah, we made mistakes. Did some of those mistakes cause them to be chemically dependent or not? I don't know.
My father is a recovering drug addict.
I think
drug problem.
I haven't always been there for him.
Growing up, we had a relationship mainly with him over the phone.
I love you too, Daddy. Those are my dad's phone number. I call my dad when I'm upset. Frequently. And he knows, he knows how to calm me down. I haven't talked to my dad.
I think Yvonne and Yvette have been together too much in the last 4 or 5 years. I don't think that they should be living together right now.
You two are both emotional about your dad being here. Tell me what you're thinking and feeling right now.
I love you.
What are you thinking right now?
I love my dad, and he's here with us to help us. And that's what made me cry.
I think they feel like he's the only one that understands them.
Yvette says she is sorry that she's here because she's embarrassed because Maria has made her come here, etc. You sorry she's here?
No. And
why not?
And she doesn't mean that. She's just getting overly emotional right now. And Yvette, when she gets upset, she says things she does not mean. She's not sorry she's here. We've talked extensively about this. She's definitely bipolar. Now, I'm not a qualified doctor to diagnose her, but...
No, you're not, and you don't want to be throwing that term around. I don't like throwing out labels that excuse people's conscious choices about what they're doing in their life. Now, you may very well be bipolar. I don't know. I'm willing to help you find out, I can tell you that, and I'm willing to get you help with that if that is a problem or anything else that's going on. But I'm not going to pretend that something is justified because of stress or demand or problems. Hell, we all got stress and demand and problems. You know, I didn't choose for you to have 3 children, but you did, and they're precious, and you love them, and they deserve a chance. They deserve a chance. They didn't sign up and say, okay, who do y'all want taking care of you and raising you in this world? They said, well, let's see, give me a couple of drug addicts, and let's see, make that 3, put 1 in prison, and could everybody yell and scream at me? They didn't choose that, you chose that. And you can choose not to do that, and you can choose not to do that. They deserve to have a chance. And the fact that you say, well, I'm embarrassed that I'm here and people know my problems, those children's interests should be so far above embarrassment for you that it isn't even on the same radar screen. You know what you should be focused on? You should be focused on getting yourself straight so you can revise the custody situation with your daughter, and I will help you do that. I will help you do that. I will help you do whatever is necessary to restore some semblance of order here. But you got to get real to do it. And this crap about, oh, well, I just kind of do some things at night. Other than that, I'm fine. I couldn't work if I was not okay. The town fool can see you're not okay. So why you even espouse that, I mean, it's just astounding to me. You've got to be as influential as you can with these folks to do what they need to do. And I don't mean giving them a bunch of 3-year rehab speak. These are your daughters. You're not a drug counselor, you're their father. And you got to tell them the truth. They trust you, they believe in you. And I'm going to ask you to help do that. I'm going to ask you to help do that. We're going to find out who else Yvonne blames for her drug addiction. We're going to talk about all that when we come back.
My husband had back surgery. These doctors, they give all this medicine out like candy. It's really horrible. This is for a month, okay? Like 180 methadone, 60 somas, 60 Zambors, and close to 150 Lortiles monthly. It's a shame what these doctors are doing to people. It's really a shame. And they're ruining people's lives. And you get so addicted so easy. And then it takes over your life. You can't function without it.
All right, I'm talking to Yvonne, Yvette, family members, Debbie, mother, older sister, Rosie, and Maria, who wrote in and said, I'm scared for my family. This whole thing is spinning out of control. 4 kids are caught in the crossfire here, and I'm trying to unravel this ball of yarn so we can get some things moving in the right direction. What do you want to say to these girls?
Y'all know this has to end here. This is a stopping point right here. Dr. Phil can help you do it. I can only love you. I'm not a professional doctor of any type. I can be there for you, I can encourage you and love you, but I cannot physically make you stop. And this is it. It has to end here. Like Dr. Phil said, the kids have to come first. And I feel if y'all can get y'all lives straightened out, and with Yvette especially, some psychological help.
What kind of role model do you think you've provided for these girls?
Not a good one.
How so?
Well, because I was on drugs myself most of their life. I could have done a much better job.
Children learn what they live.
Sure.
What did they live with you?
Actually, it was, they didn't really live with me very long. And when they saw me, I would pretend like, I was on the straight and narrow. And as they got older, naturally, they found out better. So it wasn't
You
a
knew
good example.
better. Didn't you know better? I mean, y'all are smart. You knew when your dad wasn't straight, right?
When I was older.
We always knew that he had a drug problem. I don't recall ever seeing him messed up as a kid. But we always knew he had a problem. It was never talked about, but we always knew, and I guess we just accepted it.
Why do you not want him to walk you down the aisle? Why is he not walking you down the aisle in your wedding?
I don't feel that bond, and I feel like it would be just for show, and that's not how I want my wedding to be.
I'm going to talk about what I think needs to happen here from everybody's point of view when we come back. Drugs are at an epidemic level in America, and interestingly enough, drugs are very indiscriminate. Doesn't matter what color, race, age, socioeconomic level. When they get a hold on you, it is a brutal and devastating hold. Drug addiction is a complex disease. It is resistant to treatment, it is subject to relapse, and it can absolutely rob you of your quality of life. Yvonne and Yvette, in my opinion, are living that every day right now. Their father has lived it in the past, and I'm trying now to talk about the future. As I said, there are children involved in this situation that I think are in a chaotic and disruptive lifestyle. You two need to tell me what you think needs to happen here. How are we going to change this? How are we going to give you your life back?
Counseling.
My whole family needs counseling.
What do you think?
I think I need help.
Let's fast forward for a minute. Where do you think you'll be 5 years from now? If you leave here, nothing changes, you kind of go back into your life, where do you think you'll be 5 years from now?
Still where I'm at. The same thing.
Where do you think you'll be 5 years from now?
Hopefully my husband will be out of jail, helping me with my kids. Hopefully I'll be a better mother.
And you think that's just going to happen organically?
I definitely know we all need counseling, yeah.
If this continues, if what we've seen on tape today just keeps rolling right along, where do you think your 9-year-old will be 5 years from now? He'll be 14. He'll be in middle school, going into high school. What would you predict for him?
Hopefully you have a good future.
Do you think if everything continues the way it is now, he'll have a good future?
No, no, that's what I'm saying. We all need counseling to stop it.
What do you think he says to himself at night when he goes to bed after all the screaming and yelling?
I don't know. I don't know.
What kind of thoughts you think come to him in the night?
He's very sad.
How about your daughter? Think she misses you? What do you think she thinks to herself when she goes to school and sees the moms there with her little friends?
Probably wish I would be there with her.
How do you think she feels?
Sad.
So what do you think she deserves?
A good life. Well, she has a good life with her dad. He's a good father. A very good father. Thank God for that.
But he didn't know how to brush her hair just right. He doesn't know how to answer some of the questions that little girls have that only moms can answer.
She needs me back. And she asks me when I'm quite a bit.
If she continues on the road that she's on, she's not going to want anything to do with her. You know, and she'll be ashamed of her, and I know that will kill Yvette. I know it will. I hope that today she can see that she needs help, and that I hope she's willing to take any help that you can give her, and she'll have the life I know she wants with her daughter.
Well, we are going to talk about options for this family when we come back. We're talking to Yvette and Yvonne, who are twins. They have, in my opinion, and I think they agree at this point, an addiction problem. These women were at once happy in their lives. They were beautiful young women with their lives ahead of them. Now their lives consist of chaos, popping pills, doing what they can to get through the day. Their sister Maria and Father Timothy are here trying to get their attention, support me in getting their attention. Mother Debbie and older sister Rosie are on the phone and can chime in at any time. My concern here is that, Yvonne, I think you're still in denial. I think you're still trying to tell yourself, I need to do a little bit better job, but my sister Yvette, who I know you love dearly, and I understand the twin connection that goes on, you think she's got like serious problems and you've got semi-serious problems, but if we can get her some help, I'll be fine. I mean, I can get going here. Is that how you see things?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how. Yeah.
Would you like my opinion?
Mm.
I've kind of telegraphed my opinion by telling you I think you're in denial. I think you have a very high calling here. I think it's a very high standard here because you are a single parent of 3 small children. And if you think for a minute that this isn't influencing them, that the children are being impacted by this. When you forget the drugs for a minute, when you fight in front of children, you change who they are. You don't just, it's not just like it hits them for a minute and then, they shake it off and they're okay. It changes who they are because they compare their reality to all the other kids' social masks. Now, the other kids may be having fighting at home too, but your kids don't know that. They know in my house there's ugliness and yelling and screaming and pain and drugs and problems. And these other kids have shiny little faces and they look just fine, so your kids just shrink and shrink and shrink in self-esteem. They shrink and shrink and shrink in confidence. They start to withdraw. They start to retreat. And you know what happens? They'll get to a point that they start looking for something to relieve the pain. You have a higher calling here. You have a higher calling. You are a drug addict. You are a drug addict. You heard me say it is a complex and serious disease. It is resistant to treatment. Your chance of overcoming this by getting a little counseling and throwing your sister under the bus is 0. 0. You won't get better. You won't get better. You're more candid about this. You're more honest about it. I don't know why, but I think I know why. I think you are so damn sick and tired of being depressed, so sick and tired of not having any joy and peace in your life. You gotta wake up and say, what the hell happened? What the hell happened? This is not my life. This isn't what I planned. You gotta just be saying, what in the world happened to me? And so you're taking drugs to just relieve the pain for just a few precious moments that you may get out while you're on the upside of the drugs before you go over the other side. And both of you, even now, you can't sit still. You can't.
I'm cold.
Oh, you're not cold. Everybody's cold. Everybody cold? Okay. Everybody in here's cold. You don't see them with full body tremors. You don't see them shaking. You're under pressure here. You're under stress here. I get that. You two aren't serious intervention and help. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you what I think you need to do, A, B, and C. You're either going to do it or you're not, and then we're done here. The last thing I want to say to their mom, Debbie, also, when we come back. Okay, I'm back, and I'm talking to Yvonne and Yvette. We've got the whole family involved here. Timothy, the father, recovering addict, is here. Sister Maria, who wrote in, originally and said, Dr. Phil, please help me with my family. It's spinning out of control. Mother Debbie is on the phone. Sister Rosie is on the phone. Girls, it's gotten away from you. You need inpatient care. You need inpatient care. Counseling won't do it. I'm not even going to offer you counseling because it won't do it. Outpatient care is inadequate for the level of problem that you have. You need to go into rehab. You need to be apart from each other. And when I'm talking rehab, I'm not talking about a spa out here in California. I'm talking about a no kidding, get your life right. There are other issues. There are other issues. There are other issues, particularly with you. You may have a bipolar disorder. And if that I possibly can to do evaluations of you neurologically, biochemically, hormonally, for both of you to find out where you are. I don't want you aging faster than you need to age. I don't want to fix part of a problem and ignore something else. I want to do what it takes to give you guys a chance to get on your feet and claim your life again. And there's every reason in the world to say, no, you don't want to do it. There's just and your duty. I am offering to arrange this resource for you. The question is, will you take the offer, and will you take it seriously and immerse yourself in the process to get yourself clean, get yourself straight, get yourself healthy, and get yourself back into your life? That's a yes or no question.
Yes.
So you will do this. I'm asking you the same question. Will you do this?
Do it. It's not, it's going to help you. Do it. Just say yes. We'll work out everything. We'll work out all the details.
I don't want you to tell me what I want to hear to get out of the moment. I don't know how long this is going to take. It may be 30 days. It may be 60 days. It may be, I don't know. I am asking you to make a commitment to put yourself in treatment for whatever it takes to get yourself clean and sober and clear as a mother. I intend to have you evaluated medically while you're there. I intend to have you exposed to parenting classes, all sorts of things, everything that I can to give you both a running start to get yourself back where you want. It is a serious, serious commitment. And I am asking you to make a serious commitment to do it for you, for your children, for your family. I'm asking you to do this. Will you do it?
Yes.
Debbie, are you there?
Yes, sir.
You have said that you have been, that you are willing to help out with the children.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's a higher calling here. You said, yeah, I get mad, I get angry, I yell, I scream, I drink, I gamble. I'm asking you to step up here and put these kids first.
I feel like I have been doing that, sir. And I will continue to.
You will step up for these kids at this point.
Of course.
And I mean, clearly it's a sacrifice on your part, and one that you shouldn't have to make. But I'm asking you if you will.
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back. Well, as you can see, I wanted to be very clear with both of these women that this is a serious, serious commitment. I think they both take it seriously, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We will arrange rehab for them. My plan is to send them to La Habra.
I won my last match. Awesome. Marked a location. Awesome. Marked a location. Help! Marked a location. Help! Watch out! Watch out! Awesome.